Hello and welcome to Benno and Hamflett In Your House, a podcast reviewing WWE's iconic New Generation B shows in order from the bust back to the boom. I'm Michael Hamflett.
And I'm Benno. I'm Michael. We're in over 100 countries. We're in 7 languages. We've got 500 million viewers each week. And we're up to 32 episodes. Can you believe it? We can only be joined for the last big review of Benno and Hamflett Season 1 by our cousins in podcasting, or my brothers in arms. It's the Bretro boys. It's Gareth and Matty. How's it going, lads?
All good. Glad to be back invited on again. And as you say, there,
you weren't invited, but you're here.
And once again,
I invited Gareth. You just came
with the absolute legend himself, who's going to accompany me today.
Thanks.
I can't wait to. If we put you in order, Ben, you know I love you. You know I absolutely love you.
Are we in reverse order here, or in order? We need to organise the celebrity squares, get them round.
I love it. But Gareth, it's how's it like to be here, mate? You're excited for this one?
I am looking forward to it. I've been starting the catch up on the episodes. So yeah, been delighted to be here on Benno and Hamflett in your Hickenbottom.
You don't know this, Michael, but these two have been terrifying in the side group chat, saying they've both coincidentally been working their way through the Benno and Hamflett back catalogue, but making notes on the things I think we've said in the past that we're gonna pay our sins for today. Every now and then, Matty will just drop a little nugget in to say a certain thing. Gareth working as well. I assume you're both up to date at this point on the podcast, saying that we've done a housekeeping without you, so you don't know what we said there. And as a threat to you, Matty, I can always edit Bretro and add an extra 15 minutes at the start of just some audio. Me and Michael raving about Shawn Michaels in 1995, and
I was about to say Shakespeare didn't have a scroll long enough for your loving for Shawn Michaels. Jesus Christ, we couldn't write it down even more. But no, it's all jokes aside, it's been a hell of a podcast, lads. So glad to be on. But Brett aside and Shawn loving aside, it's one of the best around.
Brett versus Shawn, the podcast. Come on Monday.
I've been loving it. I'm not as far caught up with Matty. I think I'm stuck in your house 6 at the minute. I was saying to you both, I had this fanciful idea that I was going to watch the shows, listen to the podcast, watch the shows, listen to the podcast, and then suddenly realised you'd have been doing it for 12 months, and I was like, "Fuck, this is never going to happen, is it?" Kind of thing. I'm never going to find the time to watch these shows. So just started to listen, but I just love it for the nostalgia, just the little callbacks to gear people are wearing, or just like little things just about, like, I don't know, people that you just forget were crossed over with people at the same time, or just little differences in like ring music or something like that. It's so good, just like having that nostalgia of just sending you back to this period, because yeah, as you know, it's one of those that's not massively covered kind of thing, so it feels new, it feels fresh, even though it's, God, I don't even want to say how many years ago it is.
Yeah, but can I just echo them thoughts? It's like you guys, like I'm listening and I'm like, when you say heroes like Mark Meadow, lads, it's like, it's completely right. We all were the biggest Mark Meadow fan when he was the Wild Man for like 4 months, better, weren't we? It was just the way it was, you know what I mean? And Ahmed Johnson, of course, but hearing his wax lyrical about The Undertaker, like, I was beaming from ear to ear. You, Benno, of all people, wax lyrical about The Undertaker.
It'll end soon, don't worry.
Yeah, of course.
He's about to get into the devil, isn't
he? Yeah.
That's when he got good.
He starts listening to Marilyn Manson. Yeah, before Kid Rock, to be fair, yeah, I'll take that.
At the point at which, like, we've started a podcast that involves the Undertaker in purple gloves and Phineas Godwin as a pig farmer, to end it with the Undertaker in a purple robe and Phineas Godwin getting cut and open by him. I think that'll be when it starts to feel right to bring it to its conclusion.
That's when I'm looking forward to it. Season 1's been amazing, lads, or whatever. Season 2 is going to be even better for me, mate. I can't wait to listen to that.
Attitude Era, mate. Montreal, it's coming soon.
I think me and Benno both sort of realised, like, as we'd started it, simultaneously, like, maybe why there wasn't as much coverage of this specific period. Because as like Gareth says, I don't think it gets a lot of play and it doesn't get a lot of mention in our sort of circles, you know. But I'd like to think of it because, you know, me and Matty have to sometimes push back on the otherwise completely correct 20 years of shite narrative when it comes to WWE. But I would argue that while there is 20 years of shite, there's like different flavours of shite. And the In Your House shite is better than the 20 years of shite. I think it's like there's an important distinction. When the Fed falls off in 2002, and it doesn't come back for 20 years. A lot of that stuff is like irredeemable. I've quite enjoyed trying to redeem 95 and redeem 1996 and find the value, because it pisses me off when people brush it off. Like the work, I mean, we'll get to it on this card we're going to talk about today, but like the work still knocks half of 2025, 2026 stuff into a cocked hat, like to an alarming degree in some cases. And I just think, people like to make jokes about a bin man or about a clown or whatever, but it's done without context and it's done without knowledge. And when you sit down and watch, it's obvious what actually worked and what was genuinely good at the time.
I was going to say, like, to your point, Gareth, obviously, we talk about this stuff all the time over on Grapple, patreon.com/Grapple for similar conversations, but we always talk about, like, your, like, dark period when it comes to wrestling, or, you know, when you weren't paying attention. For me, it's 1994, which maybe we'll all fill in at some point one day. I'm sure there's a project for that out there, but, like, what is, like, your attachment? Obviously, we know from listening to Bretro as well, similar thing, similar concept, going through a lot of the similar time zone. That's why we're cousins in arms as podcast, but, like, I think you missed a few of the 1997 ones we did over on Grapple. I don't know whether you're a 1997 truther like the rest of us, or I know you're a 1996 truther. I haven't done the Sean show with you, and there being some blind spots there. But is 97 where you come back in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it as a blind period like this one. I think
you just hated Sean.
It's just. I think it was one of those, and like I think it's one of the things that's come to mind to me as I've been listening to your shows, and then you're talking about all this stuff. You're talking about Shawn Michaels being dead cool, and you're talking about all these people like Ahmed Johnson and all this, and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to myself and I'm thinking, I was 18. Like I was drinking. I was going out. I was going gigs and all this. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you were children, kind of. I think, and that's a distinction I've managed. It's sort of almost like it's almost been some kind of like line that I've drawn in my head there. I'm like, of course they thought he was cool because they were kids. They didn't know any better. We were, we were down the pub. We knew what was cool because we were fucking adults. As you know, we could drive, we could buy a pint and things like that. So that was definitely care. But like for me, I think where the difference comes with me and yous again, drawn back and like listening to it, the stuff for me that I can recite and remember and in the detail of is like 89 to probably like 93 or something like that, because I was doing what you talk about doing at this period where you're buying the tapes and you're rewatching it and you're watching it again and stuff like that. Whereas for me, when I was at this period, I was watching it every week, but it was like, you've watched it and it's like watched and done kind of thing. It's not like I was going out as a student and like, oh, I'm fucking skint. I'm going to go and buy the best of Raw 5 or something like that. It's like, no, I can survive for 2 weeks here on whatever pennies I've got left in the bank account here, kind of thing. So I definitely wasn't buying stuff again. So it's funny. It's something I've never thought about for all the years we've been podcasting together. I've never kind of like thought of it in that way. All of this stuff, like even this show today, I've watched that main event again multiple times, but I'll watch the whole show. This will be the second time I've ever watched that show in its entirety. Like definitely, because I weren't buying stuff at that age and things really. So you're up to date, but it doesn't have. It's not burned in your brain in the same way that like if I watch something from '89, I could sit and I could do the commentary from start to end in the same way you talk about being able to do commentary start to end from 1996 events.
It's the way we always think about it, isn't it, Matty? Like I say to Hamflett, like for us, like we're kids for the Hulkamania era and we're the perfect age. And we think about ourselves as adults when it comes to the Attitude Era. But actually, we're far too young to be watching this stuff. We're fucking 11, 12 and 13 out of the three of us. Garrett's actually an adult man. He's the real age you should be to be watching this stuff going on. But we just think we are. Like it's such a different perspective, I suppose, looking at it from that bird's eye point of view.
Definitely, you've just like scared me there, Ben. I was 11 when this event took place. Like that's just it's insane.
12 when you started crotch stopping in school and stunning.
Oh, mate, yes, taking stunners, Ben. I'll never give them. Always took them in school. I used to always take the stunner off someone, turn around into the rock bottom. I just like taking finishes back in the day in school. But I won't jump too far. It's like Gareth said here. Like I've watched this event so many times, and the main event literally so many times. But watching it back last night, honestly, there was stuff that I forgot all about in the match. It's just one of them matches that when you watch with an older head, it just gets even better and better and better. And I can't wait to talk about it when we get into it.
Yeah, that's it. We were
I was on a building site, mate. I was on a building site this summer when this was happening. while you were 11.
I was literally starting secondary school. It's crazy. Like it's
to that point at the time, I was going to say, like, were you like then, Gareth, like judging it from afar? Because we're like, oh, it's 19. I always say that we always joke about like DDP, where I'm watching him in WCW, going, oh, he's so current and cool, and you're like, no, he wasn't. He was cool. He's basically 10 years ago cool. He's not cool in 1997 and 1998. Like a big talking point of like our show is like, oh, it's so like, they go from the doldrums of 94, 95, 96 that we do love, but also, was very dated. You can feel it in real time. And then in 1997, Austin's coming through. The format of the TV is changing. It all feels very 1997. Were you watching it from afar going, there you go, it's about time that wrestling comes into like, what the actual world is like in 1997? Or was it still feeling dated to you? Like, what was your kind of impression of it?
No, I mean, for me, like you say about you feeling like you're the perfect age to be a wrestling fan, I've always felt like I was the perfect age to be a wrestling fan because when
we all do it, yeah.
And maybe it's just a wrestling fan thing, because I think of like getting to like 95 and WCW was my first love, and that was changing into Hogan and stuff, and all his mates coming over and them ruining that like over there, and then like WWF at the time was still stuck so far in the past, and that's when like ECW emerged and things. So like when I was like 16, 17, suddenly you've got like ECW coming through, and that was when they say like get your hands on Tape Trader the first time, you're like, fuck, wow, this feels more adult. And then WWE sort of slowly goes that way, and then WCW obviously goes the other way with the NWO and things like that. And I felt like, great, like I'm an adult now kind of thing, and this feels more adult for me kind of thing. It just like I often wonder this, if like I'd have been 18, 19 and they were still serving up like the stuff from like 94 or something like that, it was still the same. Would I be sat here now today? I don't know, because I almost felt like it evolved like with me as I got as I sort of got through them late teens, early 20s. Like it just the product became a bit more in fitting, and then it became back with the Attitude Era, where I'd be like in a flatmates at uni and stuff like that, and you're like, you're not afraid to put it on telly, and they're kind of like buying into the characters a bit more, and they're loving Sonya and Sable and things like that. Any hook you can get them in on to get them to watch the wrestling with you and things like that. But all of that sort of it suddenly was like where it was an embarrassment to be a wrestling fan probably when I was 14, 15, and like people looked at me at school like I was fucking mental. Then suddenly by the time you're at this age, you like uni, like I remember like putting the Sabu tape on for people and stuff, and them just being like, "Fucking hell, that's wrestling. That's what happens in wrestling now. Like this isn't the $1 million man kind of thing, Like it's a wild, like totally different."
I like them stories because I always feel, I think Matty's the same as me, and I know me and Benno talked
in
about.
Many ways.
I always feel like a bit too many. I feel like a bit of an outlier, or maybe me and Matty both feel like outliers in that. Even when I go through the periods as a wrestling fan where for whatever reason, like I've got that need to like discover something else. So ECW would have been my first one, like a little bit later in the 90s. Then in the Monopoly years, a lot of people went down the Ring of Honor route, and I was like very much into TNA. That was my little discovery. Yeah. Kenny Omega got me into New Japan in 2016 because I tried to watch it in about 2011 because I was told that Albert was good. He was shit. He was alive. So I switched that right back off. It took Omega
into New Japan when you were 40.
I lost 5 years of the Tadashi Golden years because of Bernard. So like,
I love that.
But every time I went exploring, it wasn't like I switched the fed off. And I think a lot of people's experience is that when you go find something new, it becomes all encompassing. So like when you return, and it's, it is always WWE. That's the market leader for the reason. They're always going to be there. That's why we always win. That's why we're the best. But like, it's always like, there's something about it that kind of, there's something about it that like, that whether it's Austin, for example, in 97, 98, that calls you back. I'm always interested in like what that thing was when they were like, you know what? I don't need the WWF anymore. I don't need WWE. I'm going to go watch this. But then something happens around like a WrestleMania or around whatever it is that has to be so good that it actually drags you back. I'm so hypnotized and polluted and corrupted by the Fed that I know I'll never switch it off. But I'm always impressed when there's a story strong enough to pull people back in. Like that's the real power of a Steve Austin, isn't it? That's the real sort of, it's not just that like he fixes things, it's that he finds people that thought they'd never watch it again and just thinks, I want to be back in that. The only sort of thing I can relate it to is that my wife like will watch EastEnders and Corrie, and I know when there's a character, if I'm like walking past the telly that, they're back, or what are they up to? And that's my equivalent of that, the way people talk about what brought them back to the Fed, because I never switch it off.
Exactly.
It's one of them things though as well where like I always look at like my dark period where it was like it was essentially after like the invasion angle was over until like 2005 when pretty much the ECW, the one night stand, like so I had that kind of 2.5, 3 year period. Honestly, that period though was when I got back into it was the best, because it was like, who's this guy? And then you like sat on the internet and like learning and like getting the history back. I felt like I was 10-year-old again, getting like Pro Wrestling Illustrated or something like that, and just going through and like find it out.
You love Batista because of that, don't you?
100%. I was just like, who's this hard bastard? Like, look at him. He's amazing. Like, kind of, and just like, then being able to just like fight, then being able to just find out.
Like all these PWIs and tapes. Triple H wins, Triple H wins, Triple H wins, Triple H wins. Right there.
I missed a decent period there. Like I think when I look back on it, and that seems to be the period that everyone who was watching slags off the most. And then I think like, it doesn't.
But again, it's an age thing, isn't it? We're all at that age where we're the Gareth then. We're too old for it then, and we're like, this is fucking shit. And like, but I think, as I always say to you, Matty, I enjoy saying it's shit. That becomes my hobby instead. Slagging it off on the internet on message boards becomes the next thing to do. So it still keeps us in the loop somehow, doesn't it? You missed the glory days. Gareth always said that you would have been a great message boarder back in the day, definitely.
You'd have loved Velocity, Gareth. You'd have absolutely loved joining us to watch Velocity and pretending like it was they're getting it all wrong and on SmackDown. You want to see what Paul London's up to on Saturday mornings.
I was literally just going to say Paul London and Akio, and they're the first two names that you spat out. Hilarious.
Good to see Loki before he was cool. All the names in there as well. But I was going to say, speaking of ages and speaking of the growing pains of being a teenager and turning into a different type of wrestling fan, we are here to talk In Your House 16, the 16th In Your House, the difficult 16. It can buy ciggies, but it can't buy beer yet. We've got to hang on for Steve to quite crack through that grass ceiling before we get there. But we are here for, obviously, we could only draft in the Bretro boys for a very Brett themed episode with Sean nowhere to be seen. Listen to Housekeeping if you want to know where he is and where the clump of his hair is missing. I feel like it made the chain of evidence. I think that's gone from Jim Cornette's wall to being in Garrett's house somewhere at some point. But somehow we managed to arrange it.
Gareth, what is he doing, Gareth? We haven't even listened to it. Is he not dropping titles? Is he losing a smile, faking injuries? What's he doing, mate?
He's got a sore knee, He's got a sore knee and a bit of missing hair.
All of the above, and he's getting threatened with not getting his 15 grand a week or whatever he was on at the time. So he hastily has to make a return, doesn't he?
It's an unsafe working environment, lads. Yeah, it's an unsafe. He just wants to work somewhere safe. Is that so much to ask?
He just wants to be with his mates, doesn't he? He doesn't really, but the boy does protest too much. He wants to be back in the Fed. He wants to be fighting with Brett backstage. But yeah, that's where Sean is off. So perfect way to get yous on. And again, perfect place for it. It's July the 6th. It's 1997, and we're at the Canadian Airlines Saddledome in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And yeah, I don't think anybody on this podcast has been to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Of course, you went to the Bret shop and everything, didn't you?
I stood
Did you go to the
by
bar?
the Saddledome. I went to the Hitman's Bar. The next time we're doing one of these podcasts or something, I'll wear my Hitman's Bar jumper that I got. It's got all the brand on the back. It's got the 4 hearts down the arm, that kind of thing. I'll show you it the next time I get the chance. But I went to the Hitman's Bar. I went to Hart House before somebody nicked off with the plaques. So I got to, because they're never coming back, are they? Let's be honest. So I got to sort of see them. And I went and stood and just stared at the Calgary Saddledome for a bit and just had a nice, little quiet cry. It's by, you know, in this, when they have the video package of what the Harts have been up to over Stampede weekend, and you see like them on that like Stampede track, it's all like a muddy track kind of thing for the big Stampede parade. That's right next to the Saddle Dome, so you can see the two venues next to each other, and you can like I'll stick the pictures in the DMs and all that kind of stuff or in the Discord or whatever. But yeah, it was like Calgary as a wrestling tourist city of a fan of a certain age is perfect because most of it is still as it looked then. So the Saddle Dome looks like quite a tired, very of its time like arena, you know, like sort of the I don't know, the Sheffield Arena or the MEN, those buildings that once used to look really modern but are starting to look their age now. That's the Saddle Dome. And like as I say, the Stampede thing is still next to it, and Hart House is always just going to be Hart House. It's like the path. We're coming just out of the airport and we're getting taxied into town, and you can see the Calgary skyline. I'm like, I know that view of the skyline, and sure enough, the car's going past, and I look to the right, and it's the icy track that Bret was running across for the WrestleMania 12 vignettes. Amazing. I'm like, I'm in it. I'm in a living Bret Hart museum. Like as Shawn Michaels said on camera, Bret Hart sold his family in Canada out if it was worth $1 on telly. But I'm glad he did, because I now got to see all of it in the flesh. Like I was told of this Calgary, and it delivered. You know, the only thing I didn't get to was those like snowy mountains where he took the picture in the double denim with the sort of you know those iconic Bret pictures. Yeah. But every other bit of Calgary, if you go, it'll completely deliver on all the images you've got in your head of Bret's Calgary. It's exactly how we left it, basically.
I can't believe there's not been a Bretro tour out there or a Bretro live show, or there's got to be some kind of reason to get you lads out there.
I'm gonna go 100%.
Pilgrimage,
like,
innit?
Yeah, Sarah's brother's in Toronto, and she was talking the other day about like going to see him in next year maybe, and I was like, yeah, we could tag it along with a little like flight over to Calgary as well, and do a bit of other parts of Canada when we're out there, because I've just got to see those with my own eyes, and you know, literally everything Michael's saying there, I'm just like, yeah, I want to do all of that, and like everything. Although I still haven't got over the last time we went to Toronto and we were in a bar, and I got talking to this girl, and she said she was from Calgary. And I asked her about Bret Hart, and she had no idea who she was. I was like, you faker, you're not from Calgary. He's the king of Calgary.
Unbelievable. I know you two haven't got over since I did the Shawn Michaels pose on
top of
the Bret Hart plaque in Toronto.
The closest I've ever been was that Canadian Walk of Fame plaque of Bret Hart, where I
imagine what I do in Montreal.
I went on my hands and knees and praised it, whereas you soiled it, Benno, doing the Shawn Michaels pose and double bicep. Like,
he nearly sold it.
Wait till I get to Calgary.
Yeah, you did.
I love those shorts as well. I'm still devastated about that. I'm sure Sean ripped a few pairs of shorts in his time as well. So just living up to the idol.
You need to get the you need to get the SummerSlam '97 tight biker shorts, Benno. You need to go full Sean, like the ones that you used to wear. Like, what's he stuffed a bunch of gauze down his shorts or whatever it was.
Down there, Benno. We don't want to see that.
I'll have to go a few more years in Asia before I'll be able to fit in any shorts like that. Less said about that, the better. But like I say, we're in Calgary. We're here for the not the Calgary Stampede. We're here for the Canadian Stampede. And as is tradition on Benno and Hamflett, we do need to have a look at what the VHS looked at the time. And I know I'm pretty sure you own this one, Matty. If you don't, I'm pretty sure you got my one in your house when I moved away to Asia. I'm sure this was in there in my collection. The beautiful In Your House 16. I say beautiful. It's kind of ugly, but it's red. So it's different, Michael, as we have here. And yeah, it's we are, like I say, we're at the 16th In Your House, and we are in growing pains, and we are experimenting, as we talked about, within Your House 15, what you make as of red as a colour here for the VHS box.
I mean, it's striking, isn't it? Like, you know the things I'm going to pick on if you've listened to this podcast before, so I'll just rattle them off quickly. The state of that spine with that 16, like that if that In Your House logo is in America, the 16's in Canada, isn't it? Like, so that's a mess. The pictures, I mean, that's absolutely scandalous. That Austin, that Goldust, and that Owen and Jim. That's like, have a word with yourself. That's a mess. WWE, and we've noticed this through the housekeepings. Like, WWF loved reminding you that Brian Pillman wasn't an official member of the Hart Foundation. It just feels cruel. Just let him be in it. Like, there's that. When the fan made that sign of like all the hearts pissing on the American flag, and like you know, because Owen and Davey and Brett and Jim have got those custom-made Brett jackets. The fan made a little Pillman one. And it's like, just give him one. Just, it's not like, I'm sorry he didn't like shag one of your sisters. Like, at least he got choked out by Stu in the dungeon. Let him
he looked like he was trying with Helen at the end of the show. It's true. It's even on the poster. Like, the poster is just Brett and Davey and Owen, so there's Neidhart erasure as well. The poster, by the way, a lot more 1997 than the box art continuing that theme going through the year. But I didn't even click on there that the Pillman wasn't there.
I don't know what it was. There was obviously a very specific reason why. Somebody must have had a word. But I mean, we're going to talk about an actual Hart later in this podcast who's got less right to be in the Hart Foundation than Brian Pillman. At least Pillman didn't like miss any of his
should be on
spots.
The cover. Sonny's on leather jacket. Good
that Austin one, man. That's for July 1997. What are they doing? Criminal.
Thoughts on it, Matty? One you got in the house, at least one copy of.
Yeah. As you say, the red stands out, obviously, but it's them pictures, it's the lack of Pillman. And as Michael said there, when's that from, Michael? Is that Piri King of the Ring winning, Steve? That it's around that time, isn't it? It's not a good one. $1 million
belt is below that crop there. You can see it, can't you? It's there. Ted stood to the side. He's been cropped out.
100%.
Bundy's standing around somewhere.
It's the exact picture, isn't it, from the UK version of Stone Cold Said So, because we weren't allowed the bloody face one. It's that same picture.
It is. It's wild, and even the back looking Vader there. Your favourite, Michael? I mean, what's your thoughts on that picture, Leon?
I mean, it looks cheesy and not that credible. So it pretty much just sum up my thoughts of Vader in the WWF, basically. Right there. Hey, man, like, I'll say this, right? I'm glad that, like, there's obviously a gazillion reasons why I'm glad that Matty and Gareth are on for this one. But I'm sure there's already must be a million of my opinions that Gareth hates. Like, thank God that for once, like, my thoughts on Vader are not going to be one on this podcast. Like, he's landed at just the right time. I think he'd have switched off halfway through if it had been in any of the prior recordings.
He's no Bam Bam Bigelow, is he, Gareth?
Fuck me, he's not that bad. Jesus Christ. But,
Michael, it's fine. He's getting carried in this match, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Oh, yeah, he's in there with a pros pro, isn't he? You know.
But this design, this video cover, like, it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite bits of your show is tearing these apart. Like, in them first few, when Michael was going mad about, like, Hunter Hearst Helmsley not fitting on one line and things like that, and it carrying over to the, like, literally, I was looking at it, like, my eyes were burning out my my head, kind of thing, with anger at, like, the poor alignment and everything like that with all the writing. At least I managed to get it on one line here, but this is like proper, like this is. You know, graphic design is my passion territory. This, isn't it, really? Where they're just throwing shit at it. Like, is that a CZW font for the verses there in the middle and things? Yeah. Like, it's just like it's insane. Like, this has been put together.
I do like the font for the Canadian Stampede itself. I do like that on the front.
That works.
I think that stands out well. Yeah,
the Canadian Stampede 10. I didn't realise there was 9 before
it. It makes me think, Gareth, I get nervous anytime I put, like, the Benno and Hamflett graphics together. I'll be putting, like, a picture of Steve on because it's one that focuses in. I'm like, okay, that can't be from March 1997 because Michael will find me out. I've got to find one from January 1997. I feel the pressure to be better than the clip art masters that are putting these together. But it was a different time, 97, you know. Wasn't as easy to pull photos.
Honestly, right, it's indicative. It's mad how, like, these two things shouldn't be as connected, but think of how amazing the golden era Coliseum videos looked, like the purple WrestleManias, the orange SummerSlams, and then think how class the Attitude Era ones looked. Like this, budget is being stripped everywhere. Like the water coolers getting taken out of Titan Tower, the staff budget being smaller than ever, the wrestling roster needing friggin' AAA losers for your Royal Rumbles and the like. It extends even to this. Like, you can tell that there's just no money anywhere. And like we noticed it on a prior In Your House. They've only, like, the big set that you get on this one, like, they've only just introduced that at Cold Day in Hell, the big one on the stage at the top of the ramp. I don't think this In Your House even has the Titantron in the house, But it was just striking that they'd actually spent a bit of money again, because they'd smashed the house up in December and then we just didn't see it for 3 shows, and they've actually rebuilt it. And it's like, they've obviously realized how effective the Titantron is on Raw and how much bigger it's making the shows look. And they've thought, right, we need to keep this big, long silver, like this steel ramp. And it does make the arenas look fuller and bigger and the show look bigger. And everything at this point is just right. What have WCW got? Can we nick it or can we improve upon it? What have ECW got? Can we nick it or can we improve upon it? You can. It's coming through every pore of the product, but they haven't got the money to do it properly, so they'll bodge through until the Austin checks start clearing. Basically, like,
glad you said it first, Michael. Glad you said it first.
It's like the Tron, isn't it? They bought it on the Never Never. They've done it on one of those like subscription plans over 20 years. It's probably still being paid off like Bret Hart's contract now. But because they've got the big telly, they've got to use it, as we've been talking about. You know, you got to get use out of your big telly. Do as many fucking promos as you can on every Raw to get it in there. We've got the set laying round. Fuck it, get it back out there. We're still in your house. It still works. It's still good. Yeah. Once you've spent, when you haven't got money, any that you do spend, as you well know, Matty, you get your most out of it. Don't you? Know, we're wired the same way that way.
The first thing I thought of when Michael was saying the lean years is backstage, Michael, cold cuts and stale bread, weren't it? At the Manhattan Centre.
Sounds good to
and to myself, then that sounds good, but you must be working how many days getting not paid at all and going in for your TV tapings and your big shows and you're getting served that, mate. It's a slap in the face, really, to be honest.
The crew doing 20 trips up and down in the lift just to get like the slats up because they couldn't get it up the steps. It's mad, isn't it? It's mental.
And then whoever's cocking up on his promos, just like making them wait all day as well beforehand. Just awful.
When the business was the business, proper days. But no, that takes us into the show. Like you say, Michael, we've got the bit more effort played on the setup here, and a little bit of maybe some of that budget went towards the intro to this show. As I said at the top of the show, we got the new intro with the in over 100 countries and 7 languaguages, 500 million viewers. I can imagine you slapping your hands like Matty would be slapping on the wrists to that one. Got to be giving you the old goosebumps, as well as the cracking intro video they do with the black and white and the kind of the recap of what we've been covering over the last year, and just saying it out loud that, like, you know, no longer the black and white world. It is now the land of greys. It's a Vince Russo Raw magazine, like, on screen, isn't it? For the first time, these are the types of things he was writing in the mags. But like, they actually put some effort into the intro, and again, it's another little thing that makes it feel very different here in '97.
Yeah, completely. It's like they've done a few of these videos. They did one for like WrestleMania and for the Rumble, I think, maybe as well. But like, increasingly, what's important about it is that no longer is sort of Austin getting over by accident, or no longer are these things starting to click almost in spite of what Vince is trying to book. There's actual synergy now. Like, the two sides understand each other. The Vince Russo Raw magazine stuff that's bled over to telly, plus Jim Ross's talent acquisitions, plus Vince McMahon's ability to promote. They're actually all working together. Like, if you go back as far as 1996, it's got Jim Ross's talent, but it's not got Vince Russo's booking, and it's not really got Vince McMahon's promotion. He'd still rather just go, Sean, and I'll work out the rest. Then Austin gets so over that he kind of forces his way through. So it's quite easy to promote Steve Austin because he promotes himself. But then the product on any given week, 1997, we're in love with it in this period. But like, let's not hide the truth under all of our excitement. There are plenty of those Raws that, as 2-hour shows, still have a load of shit. Like, still have Rocky Maivia and the Sultan and lots of stuff that is not working. This, I think, is a good example of how the entire product has started to click. We talked about in the last Housekeeping, there were massive stories that all needed covering, and in their own way, they all overlapped with each other. Like, the world was becoming 3-dimensional again, in the exact same way that by 1997, WCW were kind of like resting on the laurels a bit with the NWO. It was almost as if WWF thought, right, look how over Steve Austin is, but we can't rest on that. Look how over the Hart Foundation are, but we can't just let them be like sort of standard heels and there's got to be a purpose to all this. We've got to keep going. We're jumping ahead. But like, if you think about the SummerSlam 97 finish to the main event, I think that's the best finish in wrestling history. And I don't think you arrive at so many different moving parts for the highest stakes, for the richest prize, by fluke. You have to, like, Undertaker's in the middle of the Kane secret. Bret and Shawn haven't even had their match when Shawn's playing guest referee. You know, like, the Hart Foundation haven't even peaked as an act. He's not even won the belt back yet. And yet all of these things have got to collide. And you've somehow lifted Steve Austin out of it and into an entirely different program. It's the video package, like, I don't know, it's reflective to me of every single, like the left hand knowing what the right hand's doing again. Like we throw the phrase around as a bit of a piss take now, but like the power's back. You can sort of feel it. I think there's a confidence to the product again.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the narrative we've been going with, Matty, that like very clearly, they're realizing these things and they're realizing where the bread is buttered. And like Michael said there, we do know, we've just spent a housekeeping, raving about the 3 great stories that are going on the show, but there's a lot of shite too. But it does feel like they're starting to realize what the good stuff is and what the bad stuff is.
It's like Michael said, it was the teething problems at first of having them 3 stars aligning up to say, and this is it. This is genuinely it, where it's all side by side by side. And, obviously I'm privy to listen to the, don't want to take the recording of this, but it's like, as Michael said, there's the Kane and Undertaker storyline. It's Steve and the Hart. It's perfect with Shawn Michaels as well there. It's finally getting there. And as Michael said, it gets even better after this as well. So it just says it all.
We talked about that when we talked about the SummerSlam match on Bretro, about how just how just booking was just better, how you had these like separate worlds and circumstance happens, when injuries or backstage things, but you still manage to just pivot and interweave things and make it make sense and then come out of it the other and still have things to go to. It's it's just a better time for booking in general, especially when you've got a range of different genuine stars who are, all coming from different angles as well, really, in terms of like who they are as a character and as a personality and things. They just managed to just layer those things better. And even when it was short term, even when it's not something that they've laid out for months and months and something has happened and then they've had to go like, shit, how do we get from there to there kind of thing? Oh, we'll do this, this and this. Oh, that makes sense kind of thing. Let's do that kind of, and not take away from it.
We did one of the matches with Ahmed and Slot and Vader in, and now because Vader beat Undertaker at Rumble, it so makes sense with Paul Bearer there in the middle of the Kane stuff. It's, as you say, Gareth,
overlapping stories too.
Unbelievable, yeah.
I like to a point that you love as well, Matthew. We're talking about on housekeeping, like again these overlapping stories and all these different like universes kind of like bumping into each other is great, but also a lot of the TV that they recap in this video, it's not music to your ears, always building matches. A lot of it's character development. You mentioned the Undertaker and Kane story to tell it over this year. Like, it's 3 months of just like Paul Bearer and Undertaker eking out a story. And yes, it's got implications for matches, but really it's about the development of those characters across the story. The Steve and the Hart stuff, like as much as I love it, Matty, I know you love it possibly even more than me, like in bumping up against the Hearts for like those weeks in May and June is just, it's grip and tell you that isn't selling a match next week. It's just selling what's going to happen next week with Bret Hart and Steve Austin. What are they going to do next? It's like, it's those, not in a bad way, but those soap elements coming into it. And again, laid out here, which is where you're getting all these different characters and you are getting these shades of grey and you are getting more interesting characters and you're doing it without wrestling matches actually being at the forefront of absolutely everything.
Like the biggest example, like you said, is the Undertaker and Kane there. Sorry, Gareth, you were going to say, mate?
I was just going to say, and that's where it then just takes, and this is almost like the benchmark period for me in my mind of like being desperate to watch the next week's Raw kind of thing. Yeah. What's going to happen with, and it not just been about one headline main event angle or feud or something like that. What's going to happen with, and there's been so many like alternative things there that you actually gave a shit about, and you knew that they were going to do something to progress that story and progress that character development, like work towards something. It's like, you always say, Benno, like 97, but this is it for me. This is where I'm just like, this is the best. This is as good as it gets kind of thing. This time period for me, I don't think wrestling's ever been any better than this period.
And once again, there's 2 things as well there. One, we'll talk about the opening match. It's the transformation of Mick Foley, Mankind, and we get later on into the other incarnations of him and how very important he is. But it's even the stuff, like you say, Benno, on the video package, which won't give you good matches in the end. But it's even like the gangs that are created. It's like it's given everyone like that, because the fans were into that in the buildings. When you just have 12 fellas brawling all over the ring and ringside area, it's going to get a pop, isn't it? And he laid that out once again, we crush out the nation into his own gang, so it's all makes sense as well, as Gareth said. It really is a great time.
I think there's a reason you love those.
Gareth's point about the headline not being the only thing, like when so we all watch wrestling. It's a 52-week-a-year product if you keep up with it, and most of us do to that extent. Is there anything better as a wrestling fan that when you're in the middle of watching that show that you watch every week, and there's been the show opening promo or the show opening match or whatever, and then a character appears and you're almost forgotten that you were excited to see them? Like that feeling of like, oh, it's their bit. I was already happy with this thing that was really cool, and then this thing that was really cool. Holy shit! And that's that when the roster just feels really alive and you like the great thing about getting older is at least you know when you're in it. Like me and Matty will share DMs just with a clip of something from like 2023 Fed. 2021 AEW. I've recently seen some conversation about like, it wasn't as good as people said. Yes, it fucking was. It was absolutely white hot, unbelievable, roster full of characters you could not wait to see every week. Like, maybe, I will still maybe say maybe the best American wrestling has been this decade. Maybe. I'd put it up against this like last Fed boom, genuinely. 2021, I remember those Dynamites just being like, I was watching them live, so it's like 1:30 in the morning, and it's just they've opened with, the ones I always remember, sorry for this tangent, but it's like, oh, you're opening Dynamite, CM Punk's coming out just to commentate, and then Adam Cole's music hits, and then Bryan Danielson's music hits, and it's like, just keep coming, just like pop, 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 and then that match finishes, and we go to the back, and it's like Britt Baker at the height of her powers, and she's cutting a promo on whoever she's feuding with next, and then it's back to the ring, and Eddie Kingston's pissed off with somebody, and you're like, it's more like it's just there's no vegetables to eat. It's just like it's all the meat, all the gravy, and then dessert, and it's just that's that feeling that I think a show like this and a period like this gives you. You have to know when you're living through that, because wrestling doesn't really give you much, does it? You go on long journeys waiting for these periods of time to come around, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. Because we're so entrenched, sorry, Michael, you're right there, because you live it when you do get them moments. Like, and even Benno, I will admit, AEW back then, like Michael's saying, it was hot. I was even saying something today, like Orange Cassidy.
I used to come around the house to watch it every week.
I know, I can't lie, Benno, there's proof of that. Like, even Orange Cassidy, Michael, when he was so hot, he was main event all the time, wasn't he? It was different time, mate.
The problem is when it's that good, then that's the benchmark you set in your brain, isn't it? Kind of thing.
I know.
And that's right.
Be like that. We shouldn't be quiet. I don't think we should. Like,
we're all aching for 1987 again, aren't we? That's what we spend our life doing. Which obviously, I'll loop that back on topic before Gareth gets you, Michael, for claiming that there was ever a WWF boom in 2024 and 2025. Different conversation for a different time. Maybe we'll do it.
Maybe on a balance sheet.
We'll do it on Bret versus Steve, just like when Bret beat Shawn in the Grapple Hall of Fame. One day those things will be worked out. But yeah, obviously going back to this show, we're talking about the boom. We're talking about these great characters. There's only one place to start with the great characters of 1987, and that's on the free for all, which is the Godwins, Hog and Pig versus the new Blackjacks of Blackjack Wyndham and 30-year-old Blackjack Bradshaw. No, I'm only joking. We're not going into this. It is available.
You've opened it up there. No.
30, mate. 30. Look, I mean, I guess that makes sense because he was around for another 15 years, but still, like, look at the fucking state of him here on this. It is the only thing we have from the free for all, isn't it, Michael? It's a fleeting 10 minutes on Daily Motion that isn't necessarily worth seeking out for anybody and not worth analysing. But yeah, the characters possibly are.
Right, hang on then. So if he was 30 for this match...
I've got it, Michael. I've got it.
What you're telling me is like WWE champion JBL was younger than all of us. That Texas oil billionaire in a suit was a younger man than all four of us.
Oh, God.
Barry Windham on this show is 36, lads. That's even
Jesus Christ.
He was at WrestleMania before WrestleMania 1.
I think it's actually worse, though, that in my brain, Bradshaw's title run is like 20 years after this, and it's like less than a decade, apparently. I just found that out. Jesus.
Like 6.5 years.
No way.
That's it.
That's my brain. But did anybody watch this and have any thoughts on it, Matty? I don't know if you took this out.
They get charged up, but I think even off the VHS release, I can't really remember this one, Benno. It was obviously inconsequential to say the least, but it's the new Blackjacks, though. I mean, even
who's thinking that's a good idea?
That's a Jim Cornette calling it. That's it, as you say, Michael. On these, that is one thing that slips through Russo and McMahon. It's like, give Jim something then, and that's definitely that, isn't it?
I know we're kids compared to like a Gareth, but like, are we supposed to care, Michael? As a kid, I was like, who the fuck are Blackjacks were they like old timey black and white wrestling? Why do I need a new version of them? Give me something that's actually 97.
Was their original run any good, Gareth?
Barn burners, mate.
What was in the water, right? It was like, right, well, we've got Marty Jannetty, right, we'll make another one. We've got Skip, make another one. We've got Henry Godwin, make another one. And that was a tag division. Like, that was all it was. Like,
we got Crush, make 3 more.
Yeah.
Awful.
Honestly, I'm terrible.
So it wasn't all night time.
I always thought the muzzies were fake as well, but they were real, weren't they? I always thought they were fake muzzies.
They grew them out on their own time.
I was literally just going to ask that question: were their muzzies real or not? Because like that was what I was paying closest attention to when I was watching this match, just trying to see the extent that they moved. And wild if they're real. I just didn't think they were at all. But nice inside cradle from Phineas here. Nice tight inside cradle for the 1, 2, 3.
The work of Dennis Knight. He's a very good.
The working of the two. Oh, yeah, definitely. Again, as me and Michael often say, you know, we might be in the future in 1987, but there's always these stark reminders of the past, and a Rockabilly or a Phineas Goblin will turn up without warning at any given moment. But yeah, nothing worth seeing for that on the pre-show, and not much else there. So yeah, it takes us into the main card itself. Obviously, we've covered the intro. We do get another video package for our opener match here, Michael, which is, as you noted on Housekeeping, Mankind versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley in a rematch from the King of the Ring 1997, which of course, Matty, he only won, speaking of the hog farmers, having been slopped and having been punished because of the curtain
Job
call.
to Warrior.
Job to Warrior, obviously that was all consequence of that here. So thank God he got back to where he was supposed to be in 1997. We get quite a dramatic recap of this, Michael. We get the proper main event dead music, isn't it, for this one? There's good material in here. Foley's talking about being a good kisser line in there, China, and the scepter that she breaks on Foley in there as well. But it's all quite dramatic for this opener match.
I tell you what, this is why WWE is a recognised symbol of excellence, because if you watch that match, it's a load of shit. Like this video package, this video package makes it look like sort of Triple H's coming out party as a guy that can go toe to toe with this deathmatch king, this guy that we've only recently found out is a deathmatch king in Mick Foley, and that Triple H has matched his violence to become the king of the ring. The match is an absolute turkey. It's such a slog. It's still a very I was going to say very 97 Triple H. It's a very non-2000 Triple H match. Like, yet again, he's got China with him. So, as we've noted, like, China's over. Everything China does is interesting. Foley is one of the best to ever realize the benefit of selling for China. Like, they helped each other massively in 97 because he knew he needed someone that could make him look like the sympathetic babyface while still wearing the Mankind aesthetic. You know, he'd not yet put the Austin 316 shirt on and the Pick Me Steve sign around his neck. Dude Love wasn't yet anything other than what you saw on those home videos. But China, being this like hated and like just incredible enigmatic figure, was the perfect person to be battering him in order to get him the sympathy. It's not Triple H beating him up with a crown. It's her like constantly smashing him in the nuts or drilling him with that scepter, that friggin' Randy Savage Ultimate Warrior quality scepter shot. Like, again, it's like Triple H is the last guy to arrive at the party designed to get him over. It's everything else that's successful. He just happens to be present for it.
Yeah, she's incredible, China, as G, Matty. What an introduction, and what a character at this point in 97.
It's like you were saying as well, you started off, didn't you, like, where she comes in and like attacks Terry, Marlena, and then slowly but surely she'd like slam back gun on the outside. She'd done something to Flash Funk as well. But this is the first time, as you say, Michael Foley giving us props for getting everyone and anyone over, proper selling, and basically, like, without jumping into match, it's like a triple threat match. This is what we're going to talk about. Yeah. He's involved that much, but it's Foley given, and it is Triple H. It's like a spare part. It's weird how you said it there, because I was thinking that watching the video package, he's the one getting crowned King of the Ring, like doing him in after it, the pedigree on the table. I always remember that spot though, Michael, in that match. That was the first time I was like, fucking hell, like Foley's even more nuts than I think as a kid, especially watching it. But you're right, he's like a spare part. It's all about China, and Triple H is just in the background, really. It's weird. It's very weird.
Definitely. And yeah, you kind of forget that, like, when you talk about Foley getting, obviously getting China over, but getting Triple H over, your mind immediately goes to 2000, doesn't it? It doesn't go to like this period and the matches on Raw that we see as well. It's also massively important to get Triple H to even the point he can, lead DX in '98 as well. But I was going to say, to go to on the match itself, Gareth, I think Matty's totally right. This is basically a three-way because we get, the hot start with, Foley is now the babyface, as Michael's talked about there, with the JR sit-downs there, kind of turning him face gradually over time here. He's using like Cactus Jack tribute moves in there because we all know who Cactus Jack is in there in 1997 now, or at least those kids watching at home are getting that bit smarter with the cactus elbow in there as well and those little nods up there. He'd always in these Triple H matches, it felt like, take it to the ramp, do the brawling outside, because to be honest, it was probably the only way to make Triple H in any way interesting. But this rabid crowd, especially here and obviously everything we've got to come, are absolutely loving it as well. But I think the key to the match is that China element. Like the cutoff here is very much that. It's Hunter trying to do the sunset flip on Foley. Foley goes for the mandible claw, but it's about China. It's about China, teasing the cutoff there and catching Foley on the outside, and then you've got the real cutoff that comes when I can't remember seeing it before, but it's like that Irish reversal on the floor where China kind of half body slams, half hip tosses Foley into the steps, and you can see even in this early stage of the match, as far as like the shine and the cutoff into the heat goes, really it's about China, and feels like all of Foley's big ideas or his most interesting ideas are all about doing something with China and less about doing something with Paul.
Yeah, it's a funny match as well because you've sort of got that where, like, I guess sort of like matches like this and matches with Foley kind of added a bit of sort of toughness to the Hunter Hearst Helmsley character that he probably needed coming out of where the character was first developed and came onto TV and the whole blue blood thing and things like that. That I think there's elements of that helped him, but obviously but then China brought that toughness to the table, like even more so than him. And there's like even in this match here where like Triple H does that sort of reverse over the buckle to the outside that he does, and he's doing the Ric Flair tribute spot with the figure four and holding the rope over Corderis's head, and then they do the whole spot with like Foley into the buckle, and Foley sort of falls and hits him in the nuts kind of thing, and it's all very Paul trying to do his Ric Flair tribute act at this point, kind of thing, whereas it's not like, it's sort of not in fitting with the way this match is and the way that the kind of like the Mankind character and the way that the China is as well. It just sort of feels like disjointed, and he feels sort of like I don't know, like he's not quite in this era that he needs to be in at this point, despite everything that they're trying to do to push him in that way. It was an odd match, this one.
Like a lot
that's always his downfall. Sorry, that's always Paul's downfall, though. And I'm probably the biggest Triple H fan out of us four. And obviously, we all agree he did have a great 2000. But I always think that's his downfall. Like Gareth saying, it's even the stuff with like Goldberg and 03. He's got to do that type of thing that he knows. And it just doesn't feel like Jeff Hardy stuff later on, like 08, Michael. He's trying to do that stuff, and it just doesn't fit in any of his opponents. That it shouldn't be that, but he's got his way, and he's setting his ways, isn't he?
Yeah,
like the sort of the reason that this Triple H exists in the same way the Reign of Terror one did, and in the same way that kind of boss of SmackDown in 08, pick an era of Triple H once he was on top. He's the most insecure pro wrestler ever. Yeah. So like he's constantly chasing a level of security, whether that's like financial and business security by getting in and staying in, or whether it's just getting that run on top where it's like, well, I've got the belt, so I kind of need to do this, or I'll call the matches or whatever, he wears his insecurities on his sleeve. And even in a situation like this, the last thing he wants is for people like us to watch this and being like, not over, being carried. It's his number two that's getting him there. Like eventually as the year goes on, it's like carrying Sean's bags is what's going to get you to the next level. And so he tries to hide that by getting his shit in or getting his own spots through. But it's like, it's never ever changed about him. He does it now. Like if he's doing a promo in the ring with somebody and he's being like Paul the boss, like if somebody cracks the joke at his expense, he's like, hang on, this is my show, and he'll always get one back. Like the rules are different for the game. Like he's never ever switched that off, and it's like your insecurity is showing. Like I still think like when him and Sean are like on TV together, he loves that like he's the proper boss and Sean just does little NXT. And it's like, yeah, but we know who's the best, mate. It's still Sean. It's always going to be Sean. Like
I don't know, Michael, people, and rightfully so, especially the 09 and people do the 06 DX like reunions. but it was always seen as Triple H was the leader then over Shawn Michaels winning, and I hate that. And I'm not.
He put himself in that Diesel pose, didn't he? Like he made himself the big man behind Shawn. It was like, hang on, you didn't do that when you were DX.
He's the least interesting part of his own match. Like you said there, the China stuff's the interesting stuff. When he takes over and he gets the heat, it's like the chair shots are kind of interesting, but it's, as much as we love a chop block, Michael, like the leg work is just boring, isn't it? Like the match goes nowhere until you get Foley's like comeback, where, as Gareth mentioned there, you get like the corner stuff from Triple H, and he's trying to bump like he is Ric Flair in there and take that fist drop in the corner. He takes that pile driver from Foley there as well, which I did enjoy Lawler getting a nod for and seeming to enjoy a very, very Lawler-esque pile driver that's in there. But yeah, it's only there. It's only when Foley comes back, and then when Chyna gets involved again in like the closing stretches, and they do the spot on the outside, don't they? Where like she stops Foley using the chair, so Hunter goes for the knee again, which then distracts the referee again because Hunter's got the chair and he's hitting Foley, which then allows Chyna to do another clothesline. That's the actual interesting stuff. But like, really, it doesn't go anywhere after that. It kind of devolves. Hunter gets crotched on the top again. We get Chyna getting involved and crotching Foley himself in the corner on the ring post there as well. And again, once it goes to outside, it's a brawl DQ and it goes nowhere from there. And it's like, yeah, you get the story through the night of them continually fighting as we go on through the penalty box and all of that stuff. But yeah, the more interesting elements of the match aren't really capitalized on for me.
It's funny mention about the leg work. Sorry, Gareth. No, sorry, go.
I was literally just going to say about that leg work, that even though he's doing the leg work there, that actually the most interesting part of it is Foley kind of thing, because like in the way that he sells, and he does one of my all-time favourite sells where somebody's had the leg worked and then they go Irish whip them and they can't run because the knee's fucked, so they just fall onto the mat. Like, I love that. That's like, of course, that should happen kind of thing. You've just been like, so again, it's the Foley stuff that like stands out more than the Triple H work there as well. He just feels like the last man in it.
I've got it in my notes, right? That exact moment where he starts working the leg, because from the opening of the show with the pyro and the introductions and everything, like, it's the coldest take on this show. The crowd are hot all night for everything. It's an unbelievable crowd. It's one of the best WWF crowds you'll ever see, ever, in terms of that like sustained level of heat that grows throughout the night, that like grows in the main event at the right points, and like like fans can behave how they want, but like they're completely locked into the show, loving what they're receiving, the building's shaking, all that sort of stuff. And I've wrote in my notes, it's like it's an active misread of the crowd when he first grabs that leg and slows it down, because it's the first point they dip. They've been sustained like that buzz, that constant noise, and then he gets an offense at about the 5-6 minute mark, and it's like, oh well, we can actually sit on our hands for a second now. So how have you done that? How have you that's that? And then sure enough, as Gareth says, like Foley like drags them back in because he's like the emotional crux of the work that Triple H does on the leg. It's not entertaining. It's just he's doing stuff to get to the point where like Foley can make his comeback and Chyna can do the cutoff again. And it's just, I didn't mean for this to be a pylon, because I quite like the match and I quite like the story that it plays throughout the night, and the program does help Triple H, and it's a successful program across 1997. But yeah, it's hard to watch this. Like, Triple H is getting physically bigger. He's trying to, grow into the role and all that kind of things. It's every bit of the blue blood that he's trying to shake is happening, but he's not improving with it in the sort of fundamental ways. He's getting more powerful friends and a better spot, but it's the same old with Triple H, like constantly all those years that he was pushed into it. We were talking on your guys' Christmas show about, I think you said it, Gareth, about what the hell was he doing in the creative meeting that said, oh, let's screw Bret Hart? How? Like, I know he's Sean's mate and that, but like anyone can, like, Aldo Montoya wasn't calling the Montreal screw job, was he? Like, a lot of people carried Sean's bags. Like,
maybe everyone claims responsibility for that, don't they? Maybe he's got a book somewhere that he says it was his idea.
No, but I second what Michael said. After all the pylon of Triple H, I think the actual match serves purpose and especially the aftermath, Benno, that's great leading into the cage match at SummerSlam. Yeah, that's what we're building to, aren't we? I love, because that Triple H can't put a leg hold on and can't work the leg. He's got to brawl around the arena. It makes more sense. So it takes him out of what he thinks is great and being a good worker. And we do get some good spots later on. I won't want to jump ahead because we go through the night. But I enjoy all of that. Loved all of that part of it.
Yeah. Oh, fair.
Something that jumped out for me though as well here was like a dead surprise to me was just how much I was enjoying JR on commentary, because I can't remember the last time I went back and kind of, yeah, again, you're watching big matches, you're watching main events and things like that. I thought he was immense here. Like it was so good, and like it was just something that was like wild that. Like again, you've seen it with like eyes from today. You're like looking back, but like he's talking about the hellfire and brimstone of this pay-per-view event, and I was like, oh, testing a line there, Jim. And he was throwing the cerebral, he was throwing the cerebral thing in there for Triple H when he's working the leg and stuff like that. And you're just like picking up on all these little things as well. But like you could tell that he'd just been given a bit more license to just go with it, kind of thing. Even though he had McMahon sat next to him, because obviously from a characterization point of view, he's evolving there as well. And like I felt like having watched some earlier Jim Ross stuff not too long ago, it felt like the shackles were off with him here, kind of thing, and it was like, you go for it, kind of. And like I thought he added a lot here, and especially when he's calling the guy like Foley, who he loves as well, kind of, he's always going to have that touch more enthusiasm and things to try and help get him over as well. Like just thought that I wanted to reference that because I thought he was boss.
It's a perfect storm. We've noticed this when Giles on the call in this era. It's because it's his roster. He's putting himself over as much as he's putting the talent over, because he's telling Vince, as he sat next to him, I signed him and he's going to make you $1 million. I signed him. He's like, he's doing his own little promo by saying, oh, this guy's good, isn't he? Who signed him again, Vince? You know, like that's, it's smart. It's smart
Vince
work.
Him the credit.
Yeah, it's smart work to be as good as he is. You know, like later on, it's Vader, and he has to know that this Vader thing's a bit of a busted flush by this point. But you wouldn't think it the way he calls this Vader match. Like a year and a half later, he's still fighting for that title. You know, it's that Kevin Keegan in him. It's like he was another one of my guys. Like I can get something out of him.
Well, as we say, it goes nowhere as a finish, but at least for the rest of the show, we do get obviously some more cameo appearances from the two, which we'll get to as we get through the night. But yeah, for the show itself, we go back to we have some little highlight packages. I'm sure you guys enjoyed this one between Sonny and Honky Top Man on the superstar line. We got the Hart knocking around Calgary, all kinds of strongman competitions going on. A couple of the traditional American baby faces are around, but all eyes appear to be on the tug of war here, Matty, and all of the real life events going on around Calgary. If you didn't believe the Harts were stars at this point, just made sure you knew.
It's just seeing them in it, Michael, just like on that float, just going past like Miss Calgary and Bulldog. And Bulldog had the slickest, freshest haircut as well. He looked like $1 million. He's trimmed down a little bit as well, but obviously got the muscle. He looks fucking well here, like he really does. Got to give him that one.
Yeah, they've done well to work.
So Gareth, especially, imagine being there, seeing just the Hearts drive past you on that like float. It'd just be unbelievable.
You'd be driving a float, wouldn't you?
Fans were lined up for a mile.
Yeah,
to get Bret's autograph, and he signed each and every one of them. What a guy! What a guy!
Off when you got it. That's what he was.
You know what I loved though on this? It was like such classic WWF though. Was the sort of showing the tug of war, and then the Doc Hendricks voiceover is like he telling you about the WWF superstars are on one team, and then there's the other team that are just like fucking local hick fucking security guards and manning a fucking from the baker's shop and things like that. And
Bruce
Doc Hendricks like the WWF superstars prevailed, but the real winners were the fans. And it's like, you've just got to get in that the WWF superstars won though, haven't you? Even though they're up against Fat John from down the road, kind of thing. Like like you've still got to. They didn't get beat, just in case you had any doubts in your mind.
I'll be staying number one in it, Michael, Matty, definitely.
This is how they do it, man. This is how they win. I love Bret. Met him a couple of times at his book signings when he was promoting that over here. But I like that mile-long queue to meet Bret tells me one thing. Like, there's only 3 or 4 people in the Bruce Hart queue. You can get as much time as you want with Bruce. Like, go work smart, not hard.
I'm surprised you didn't turn up in a leather jacket with Sonny's on for this one, Gareth. I feel like you just better normal there. Bruce, what a shame. But we're more on Bruce later. We do get a Hart's promo at this point, Michael. The Let's Not Even Talk Stupid promo from Bret here. As we do get, I think it's interesting again. Bizarro world is the terminology they come up with later, but obviously very different atmosphere as shown by the Calgary footage, and obviously that we're going to get in the main event. But almost valiant babyface Bret in this promo here, still sticking to the character, but obviously doesn't want the 5-on-1 against Austin, and they're going to do it in the ring later on. But definite foreshadowing for how we're casting these characters on this particular night.
Yeah, there was sort of this was fine. Bret was good. Austin and Bret together is always just electrifying when you see them on screen. We're very familiar with it at this point, but it's great all the same. But all this did was put me in mind of the long sequence from Wrestling with Shadows, when obviously they were doing, I think it might have been for the pre-show that doesn't appear on the Free For All online. It's out there somewhere, but you all know the promo I'm talking about, where like Russo's with them and asking them to get to a few lines, and like Bret, possibly off the top of his head, because he loved keeping these lines for a rainy day when he'd read something, wouldn't he? He'd be like, he'd have that great photographic memory for a line or something. And he just says to Jim Neidhart, just completely out of nowhere, we're going to get hungry and we're going to forget our manners. And like Bret's just like thin air, and like, because Jim needs a line. They've all got a line and Jim needs a line. And then Jim listens and he sort of says, and then Bret like sort of thinks again. He says, oh, what about we'll leave no man untested. So like Jim's got these like two little disparate ideas to work with, and Jim goes, we're going to forget our manners and leave no man untested. And Bret just laughs and says, no, Jim. Right there. And he goes like, just do the hungry thing and do your shit with your beard, whatever. Like it's just like,
you're wrong.
It's okay for everybody to have different skills, but it was just like you can see why he wanted Owen, and then to a lesser extent Davey, for all the stuff that mattered the most, can't you? Because it's like you cannot give him shit, man, like this.
And Jim's here too. Yeah, that's pretty much the story. Well, would
you make a Stevie, Matty? It only took Tony Degree to hold him back.
I don't like this version of Stevie. After both of them in like a year's time, wouldn't he like be a wall in front of him? But
I was thinking that, Matty, was he supposed to be hurt? I was thinking, did I miss something on the free for all? Is he supposed to be hurt? Like, that was the only explanation I could think of. Like, he'd already been beaten up or something.
No, he wasn't. I say Gray had been shooting up backstage at the step there to keep him around the locker room. It was wild to see, because as I say, my mind jumps a year later and they just wouldn't stand a chance, would they? Wild.
Be a very different thing, definitely. But maybe they could have sent some of the Hart brothers out to hold them back.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, we go from there. Obviously, we go to the next match, which is a bit of a weird one on this show. Not one we covered on Housekeeping, Michael, but the WWF Light Heavyweight title is coming up here. And to show you what you think of it, the entrances get interrupted by Mankind and Hunter Hearst Helmsley still brawling. But the entrances are worth talking about, as we have the young boy Taka Michinoku, who's definitely got the better song of the two. Maybe that's part of the reason this match is how it goes. There's a reason that theme stays around for a very long time. And obviously, the stuff legends are made of. His opponents here, the great Sasuke, who I think those of us who are of a certain age were pronouncing it that way for another 5 or 10 years. But I think we're going to get into the match itself and probably tell the same old story everybody tells about how, the match is designed to get one person over and maybe the other person gets over here. But yeah, interesting one, this, Michael, that we're obviously dipping our toe into WCW stuff here with the lowly cruiserweight division over here and trying to do our own version over in the WWF here.
Well, it's funny you say that, right? Because obviously, they've acknowledged that the cruiserweight division exists and serves this great purpose on Nitro, so they want their own version of it. I think the Fink calls it Junior at first, while the commentators say light heavyweight.
I've got that. Vince will hate that. He will be hating that.
The word Junior.
He's pushing the branding of light, not Junior. Like, light is bright, light is fun, Junior is little, and Junior's I'm my dad's son. Like that.
And I don't even just lightweight, is it? It's light heavyweight. We've got to get that into.
Light heavyweight. The branding matters. But yeah, like the match is the match, and I think obviously we see a couple of these a week now, but that's amazing that a 2026 quality match was happening on a 1997 pay-per-view. Like, you mentioned that this is WCW transplanted onto the Fed. It's not, but it could have been. Like, I was watching this thinking how, this is imperfect, but it's flashy and it's really fun, and you've got to watch it in the context of the time and be kind of marvel at the stuff they're doing. And again, the fans are a bit tentative at first, but they get drawn in huge by it, so the work sort of stands up for itself as well. But I'm watching this and I'm just less about the analyzing them. It's a big flurry of really exciting looking moves. How Well, I know how, it's Vince McMahon, but how ultimately, when he was given this display of like Michinoku Pro type Puro, when ECW's brought the Luchas in and WCW thought, right, great, we'll have that. That can be the backbone of our cruiserweight division is the Luchadors, and then we'll bring some like smaller North Americans in to kind of fill in those gaps. When they're trying to get a light heavyweight division off the ground, how have they ended up with, like, no disrespect really, but like Brian Christopher instead of just mining the rest of that roster? Like Taka Michinoku could, like he eventually did with Kai and Tai, but in 97, just to have matches, he could have brought 10 more with him. Sasuke could have brought 10 more with him. You know, they put them boring bastards in the 97 Royal Rumble from AAA. Like, it wasn't like there was just one guy. Like, there was loads of them. It blew my mind rewatching this to think, right, yes, it's incongruous, and yes, it doesn't necessarily fit with everything else, but all it would have taken would have been 5 or 6 more phone calls, and you could run 2 of these a week on Raw. Like, it's they had it in their hands. They were actually showing it as this is a case in point. They rematched this on the Raw after Canadian Stampede. Same result, same idea. The fans yet again gravitated towards Taka. Vince liked him, signed him, the whole thing. But why not just strip mine that entire scene? Because that had worked for ECW and it had worked for WCW. You had your chance at a very different looking light heavyweight division to WCW's cruiserweight one. You weren't going to get Psychosis or Blitzkrieg or Rey Mysterio, but you were going to get Taka, you were going to get Sasuke, you were going to get the proper heel version of Kai and Tai playing their actual roles, having the fast pace, like tag matches that they were having. There was a division that was in your lap and you completely squandered it.
But even later on, Michael, after that, like they get Aguilar in, S.A. Rios, isn't it? They get him in early 98. But I agree on a little pushback on Brian, because I think he was the one that, obviously, it's the king.
I'm all mean sort of like,
yeah. But
why have you got like a 230-pound American guy?
Yeah, Scott Taylor, Flash Flanagan. These are the names in the tournament come December. I agree overall with that. It's like you could have had better workers for sure, but he always wanted to go down that, like, once again, keep it with an American star to go against, didn't he, as you say? But
you can tell that even though it's something that's worked in WCW and it's worked in ECW, you can tell Vince isn't arsed here at all. No. Like, you know, he's totally checked out. Like he doesn't give a shit. Like, even when the bit when like Sasuke comes out and he says, like Michael said before about like Jim Ross, like almost like promoting the fact that he signed these guys. Like Vince is like, this man is what legends are made of, or so we're told, and that almost felt like sideswiped Jim Ross to me, like as if like Jim Ross has been like bigging him up or something. We need this on the roster, and like Vince is like almost like arms folded, impress me then kind of thing, you know. Like he almost has that, like that comes across in his commentary, like throughout this match.
And I reckon you can feel it in the way the match is structured. Like, you can tell, like, the first couple of minutes of it, the crowd are bored. Like, they don't know. That's the other thing. They don't know who these 2 people are. They've not been introduced properly. The commentary's not really making the effort either, outside of JR throwing in the odd reference to Tiger Mask and stuff. But you can tell he doesn't really know these guys either. And it is just, it's a bit of nothing at the start of the match. It's chin locks galore from Sasuke, and we've got, like, head scissors in there galore. Like, it's all slowed down. But luckily, I don't know whether it's the wrestlers going against the directive or what, just as Vince is probably thinking to himself, I knew these little lads couldn't get over. They do get over, like the audibly bored people that are clearly booing as Taka's doing arm work, and I'm sure Gareth was tutting at home, can't get pulled into it. And I was going to say to you, is like the narrative to this match that I think, like I said before, we're going to cover, like it's Taka that gets over and it's not Sasuke. I don't actually think it's the blowout that maybe I remembered it as. Like, there is a clear difference. Like, it's almost like it's a very, as far as the structure of the match goes, it's very back and forth by design. And I think, you know, some of that is what hurts Sasuke. You know, he'll do a spin kick and he grabs his half crab, only for Taka to hit him with it's a seated drop kick, isn't it? Followed by a drop kick to the back of the head and a backhand. That's already more over than anything Sasuke's doing. Sasuke tries to do like this martial arts kick to the floor, throws a few kicks in ring in there, creates, to be honest, kind of does a bit of a heat segment, which again, I think is his downfall, because it makes Taka a little bit more sympathetic, because it allows him to come back with, again, the flashier drop kicks. It allows him to he's the first one who does a big dive, isn't he? He does the big trademark Taka Michinoku drive, which the first time you see that, and I remember being 13 seeing it, your mind is blown, isn't it? And they're already, I don't think Sasuke looks the shits at all in this one, but I think maybe that's where they fall down, is like the structure of the match feels like it's to get Taka over, because he is the one fighting underneath, and he's hitting the more flashy stuff even in the first part of this match, Michael.
I think that prevailing narrative that you've mentioned about this, like one guy goes over, one guy gets over, I think it does simplify it, as you say, when you're watching this match. There's like some Sasuke kicks in particular that are like, that's like that. He's not throwing this away, you know? Yeah. But to me, you know what this reminded me of? And we're going to bring Triple H up again. Remember when like nothing he did was good, but the pedigree got a reaction? I think Taka Michinoku got himself signed when he hit that Michinoku driver. That gets a monster pop in the building, and like Vince McMahon reacts organically on commentary, and like that's his brain. That's like he's got one thing that I've never seen that before, and the people just came up, literally up out the seats for it. I don't know about any of the rest of this, but that might work. I might be able to market that. Oh, and it's his name as well. That's easily memorable.
Easy,
the Michinoku driver, like easy Route 1, but it got a pop, and I'm actually going to remember it. Like that was the first point that Vince is like, which one am I supposed to like? Oh, the guy in the gi and the mask. No, I prefer the other one. He's done that out of stubbornness because that's how he would be. But then Michinoku's gotten over in such a way that Vince has probably gone, see, I know more about this than you guys. I had him pegged. I knew he was the better one. Like, so it's all kind of gone Taka's way as much by a happy accident. But that dive, that springboard plancha, I think we all nodded there on the stream. Like, you remember the first time you saw Taka flying through the air and your eyes widened, didn't they? Like, fucking hell. And then, the Michinoku driver, that's a money maker of a finisher when you first see it. Proper game changer.
Yeah. I think that springboard dive is what woke Vince up, because he says the line, and in classic sort of, his brain can only go one way, but he's like, what a samurai warrior he is. But he was actually kind of like animated for the first time, and you could see that the cogs were going in his head kind of thing at that point, at that springboard dive. Of course, he's got to say samurai warrior because like it's Japanese. So what can that stereotype can I immediately
it's kind your granddad of call him Oriental, innit? He means well. He doesn't know what he's saying.
Jump on, but from that point you could see, he was in. It definitely like woke up, but it's I enjoyed the match though. Going back to watch it, I wouldn't say like it's a match that I'd be like going and been like, oh yeah, this is like a all timer or anything into that level. But for like 10 minutes going out there, turning a crowd, like you say, and then just like some of the stuff, even though it's moves you've seen a million times before, hitting them and them almost feeling like a bit fresh because of them fresh crowd reactions to them, and that crowd seeing them with their own eyes for the first time. I mean, that fucking Tiger suplex Sasuke at the end looks boss like. It looks so it's like so smooth as silk the way that's executed. The way there's also as well, and he's doing that German on Taka, and Taka sort of somersaults out of it again, smooth as silk. Like it looks, obviously they've worked together like plenty, but just really stands up.
It's even before Taka's dive, the thing I think that wakes the crowd up, and especially JR and Vince, is the spin kicks in the corner. There's two spin kicks that Sasuke connects. It reminded me, remember Aja Kong hit one of the Japanese girls with that back fist and immediately Vince got rid, didn't he? Like, this is too stiff, this, for our, especially for the female division. I had them vibes, but like Vince was kind of getting into it, and it woke the crowd up because they were fucking stiff, them kicks, mate. Really stiff.
I think like this pay-per-view for years was, and it might still be now, I guess, but like the quality bar has changed across all North American wrestling. Like a lot of people called this the best pay-per-view ever. Like no caveats, no qualifiers, Canadian Stampede, the best pay-per-view ever, a perfect show, that kind of thing. I think it's probably this match that tipped it over the scales for people, because there were plenty of WWF, WCW, ECW cards that had a lot of the stuff that you loved about those respective brands. But because this was such an outlier in styles, it was almost like, well, here's some examples of perfect fed, and then here's this random thing that isn't fed at all, but is still great. And especially back in, say, like the early 2000s, when this style hadn't been like copied and improved upon and become normalized a little bit. It's probably this match is the secret ingredient that made so many people go, this is the one best show ever. Like WrestleManias can have all these classic main events and ladder matches and whatever, but they've not got something weird like Sasuke and Taka halfway through it. This was the difference maker for it, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's a very different match to what comes to your point earlier, Matty, in the light heavyweight division. Because like I say, the narrative becomes, well, it's Taka that got over and not Sasuke. And again, I think it's the structure of the match that kind of leads you to believe. They kind of walk you through that. That's just how they do it. It's, sensei, master versus, student type of thing. That's how they structure it. And it just makes Taka just that little bit more appealing, as well as his offense there, as we said, with the dive and the Michinoku driver and the Rana, counter that Gareth talked about there, all being that little bit cooler than Sasuke, but it is what Sasuke gives you. It's the snap-on stuff, isn't it? It's the kicks. It's how hard the drop kicks connect, like the snap drop kick he does off the top. Like, it's proper laid-in stuff that you don't see when it's Scott Taylor versus Putski, on a random Raw. Like, they lose track of that by just doing the simple equation of, well, Taka was younger and we could do more of him. He's more moldable, and for whatever reason, we believe he's going to be more over than Sasuke. They lose a little bit about what also makes this match work as well, which is, again, the snapping. Even Sasuke's finish, as you said, Gareth, there as well. The powerbomb that he hits there as well. Yeah. It's in that school of Guerrero, Benoit, those types of cruiserweight matches. That's actually, I think, in a lot of ways what people are into here, and it's not necessarily just throw some small wrestlers in there. They'll do a couple of dives and have a match like everyone else. It's distinctly different than the pattern style of WWF at the time in so many ways.
Oh, unbelievably so. Like, ridiculous.
And it reminds me of like WCW with the light heavyweight title when they when obviously had that Pillman Liger match at Super Brawl 2 and like everyone raving about that at the time. But then you looked at like the people who were in and around the light heavyweight division at WCW at the time, and they're going in there and you're working with like a Ricky Morton, or you're going in there with like like Mike Graham and people like that are just like getting chanting like. I'm almost like trying to. I'm like, is that JR? Was JR there then? Kind of like, is he kind of like realizing this is something they need to have, sort of thing? But then actually, his brain can't get away from just get these smaller American lads who can wrestle a certain Southern style or something like that, and use it for them, because the parallels almost feel too similar. And when you look at those, because the impact that Pillman Liger match had, to me, probably at the time, felt probably quite similar to this match, in that it was like, wow, what the fuck is this kind of thing? And then even as, whatever age I was when I watched this, seeing it for the first time, you recognise them from magazines and stuff, and then seeing them in the flesh on this, on this pay-per-view, you're like, fuck, it's mental, it's so different. And then, again, like you say, not capitalised on, though, at all. Like, it's bizarre.
But Benno, you might hate this, but my mind's already jumped me to a future project of Taka when he's the light heavyweight champion. Like, I've got the Brian Christopher match, the Pantera match at No Way Out. I always loved that one, El Pantera. And then there's Aguilar at a WrestleMania. It'd be good with an older head going back to see Taka and him at WrestleMania 14 to see what they do there, up until obviously when the second light heavyweight champion, who is it, Michael, just to test your knowledge, who beats Taka for it? Do you remember?
Oh, God.
One of Benno's favourite. It is. It's Christian. One of Benno's favourite. Yeah, at Judgment Day, and that's another good match as well. So would be interesting, that.
Yeah. The mad, like, they've got Tajiri in his blue trunks on Raw a few weeks after this.
Yeah, they have.
Like Tajiri Yoshihiro. Yeah. Like it's and then they've got another. It's not. Which tag is it? The Fantastics, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers, the singles match against each other, and they brand it as a light heavyweight division match, and it's just like it's such this again. It's a mess. It's a rollout that, like, obviously Vince has got no real faith in, but he must have gone along with. It's been a good year for going along with people, hasn't it? He's gone along with Jim Ross. He's gone along with Vince Russo, so he's maybe got his listening ears on more than he would normally. But it's so. It's just never quite right, is it? Was it like Super Loco? That's super crazy, isn't it? He works Aguilar, I think, in the tournament, maybe. Some of them get in, ultimately. Some of them make it onto Raw, but it's never quite right.
Michael, is Van Dam perceived as a light heavyweight, or is he separate with DCW? Is he and Jeff Hardy?
Very separate, I would say.
So this is the problem, because he beats in this ECW. This was the point after the original ECW invasion. This is after Lawler's turned up at the ECW arena, and Van Dam has become Mr. Monday Night. Yeah. And he works Jeff Hardy and beats him, and they're presented as like smaller guys, but not official light heavyweights. Okay. And that's where the relationship breaks down, because like Vince perceives him as one and asks him to do that job to Jesse James on Shotgun.
Oh yeah,
and because he's at this point got in his head, you'll be one of my fabulous flying light heavyweights. So can you put over the real Double J? And he's gone.
Yeah, which is ridiculous as well, because like I actually, in doing the housekeeping homework, it auto played like literally that match from Raw with Van Dam, and he's already fully in my head. I remembered '97 Van Dam being a bit skinnier, a bit smaller. No, he's fully formed, like late '90s Van Dam. Like, there's no way. Yeah, thick. It's the thighs, isn't it? No way he should be like heavyweight. Unfortunately, a bald Paul Heyman comes over the guardrail. It's a brawl with Cherry Lawler, and Tommy Dreamer gets involved. Enemy of all our podcasts, I think, is our Tommy. But the less said about about that invasion, the better. But yeah, great match and worth the memories. And I think you're right, Michael. I think it is. It's that thing, that ingredient gives this show something a little bit different. And speaking of which, we still, there's a couple of things here I reckon you'll love at this point in the show, Matty. There's a plug for Cause Stone Cold Said So, which has got a special place in all of our hearts. And also, Mankind and Helmsley are still brawling, but this time it's outside, and we love a good outside brawl.
This is unbelievable, though, Michael. The bus into the side of the bus, and then we get Triple H going for the backdrop on like that big like crate, isn't it? And it's on the pedigree. He takes the backdrop, and he's busted open as well. Yeah, Triple H. It's better than working on the leg. That's what we want.
Did you clock the black Fed lorries from before they started putting the wrestlers' faces on them? There's that WrestleMania advert where it's like, however you get here, just get here. And you see these massive Fed lorries traversing America. I was just like, God, everything about America is brilliant. The food looks class. The telly's brilliant. And on the motorway, they've got Fed lorries. Like, it's just...
We'd be like T-1000 movies down the motorway, Michael. We'd be chasing after them. Everything we see them, we would.
Maybe I'll cut this out, but I saw your friend of mine, Matty, Mad Dog from TNT, posted a story on his Instagram, exactly that. He was on the motorway, and he drove, and there was a WWE van going past, I assume, for the European shows coming up, and he was like filming it as he went past. I assume Lee McAteer was chasing after the van in the background as well, but I think it'd still be cool now to even see in 2025.
Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable.
There we go. Well, from there we go to obviously we've got backstage footage here, Michael, of our boy Ahmed. As we well know, he is unfortunately hurt at this point once again, and we get the slowed down footage of the brawl with the new biker gang DOA in there too, and this goes into a Vader promo where we tie it all together, where we get a bit more of it. Again, speaking of housekeeping, Paul Bearer accusing the Undertaker of being a murderer. He's fucking fantastic at this period. You'll enjoy hearing us rave about that, Matty. And we also get some recap footage here of the Royal Rumble, just to show that no, Vader could beat the Undertaker. He could. Look, here's him pinning him as Bearer utters the line of deja vu. Hendricks. Some good recap here, Michael, and some good setup for our next match.
Thank God we got this specific type of recap as well, because it's not often that they're like, it's in WWE especially, like draw on a prior win or loss, and it's nice that they've got that to use. But what it allows us on a podcast for the first time, because this isn't the Royal Rumble podcast, it's an In Your House one, so we've never been able to talk about that bump that Paul Bearer takes on his ass after he jumps off the apron and hits the Undertaker with the urn, and then unbelievable. It's like sort of I don't know. It's like watching some sort of like art installation video where just some mass just moves slowly down. Like that man shouldn't move the way he does, so that when he hits the deck, there's so much of him to hit that guardrail and move. I could just watch it over and over again in slow motion. I just like looking at that. It's brilliant.
Oh yeah. Big fan of this period, Matty, of the storytelling. Obviously, we were hoping on Housekeeping to be living in a world where Ahmed Johnson was the world title challenger. Couldn't be. But some interesting story going on with Ahmed, and obviously with Undertaker in the background to all this.
Yeah, we've got to start with Ahmed. Michael, we always say, like, I love... People might disagree, but I love the fact that he joined the Nation. I wanted to see what that would look like if he didn't get injured. Like, it would have been cool, like, just to see them after all the time feuding, them standing side by side. If you can't,
black trunks were enough, mate.
Can't beat the
when you get his Nation trunks at SummerSlam. Oh my God.
Like, exactly. I've got the shakes. I have. It's great stuff, but it's like I said earlier, it's just pivoting straight away to something that makes complete sense. With Vader beating him, you've got Paul Bearer saying all this stuff on TV. What a just an easy thing to do. And I mean, I'm not going to jump ahead because Paul Bearer in this, the promo's brilliant backstage, but some of the stuff he does in this match, I've got it written in capitals. I'll get into it when we get into the match. But he's having the time of his life. Benno, yeah, it's just unbelievable. He's having the time of his life. And it is, and I don't know if you guys said it, I hope you did on the Housekeeping. And this is Undertaker. This is the type of stuff that we'd get like later on with the soap opera, even more when Russo's got more power. We said earlier that they're just aligning now, and obviously because he gets the success, he gets even more power. Where even for me, some of the stuff is a bit too soap opera-y, if that's a word. But it's these making it, like, as you say, in this world, you believe it. It's so like, oh, the Undertaker's a murderer, but you're literally hanging on every word they're saying, and you're going along for the ride. It's incredible.
Somebody sat and worked it out and like covered the holes, like I was saying to Michael on the housekeeping. There's points of this story that I absolutely hate where they just decide week on week who actually is the one that killed the Undertaker's parents, and it's whoever they want to put the heat on that week. And obviously the bloke who wrote that book of the Undertaker and Kane law had a fucking job on his hands to make any sense out of it. But in these early stages, that work has been done. Like Paul Bearer has thought through where his character was in the world at the time it happened, and Undertaker's thought through what his version of events is going to be, that it wasn't actually his fault and it was young Kane that did it. Like anything can be believable. Like we the comparison we were coming up with was like, alien films or monster movies or even something as a Game of Thrones. You can tell good stories in any medium, in any reality, as long as you're consistent across that reality. And when you've got a performer as good as Paul Bearer that can make you believe that, a man called Paul Bearer actually existed in life and he was looking after a man called the first name, the second name Undertaker. Like, you need good performers too, but they make it all make sense. Like, there's no gaps until we get later into the story. It's all been thought through.
Yeah, and even I'd even argue like it gets to that like maybe late '98 when they all get back together, Mike. Because even like when they're wrestling each other, when Kane debuts, without jumping too far ahead, it still all does make sense. You have to have Jim Cornette like calming Russo down though, because I think Russo wanted Kane to attack Undertaker to attack Kane like the night after DX, was it? And it's like, let's build this to WrestleMania. Let's have no contact. Let's have a good actual build up to this. But it is everything about it's unbelievable, and I can't wait for you guys to jump into it even more so when it finally happens on TV, when Kane comes in.
I think hopefully as somebody that likes Undertaker anyway, you'll enjoy mine and Benno's take on this and housekeeping. But like the short version of it is, for me, like this was so Mankind went halfway to humanizing the Undertaker character, but this story like actually discovered the human behind it. It justifies why he was like a mythical, magical space zombie in 1990. It actually puts a logical reason why that ginormous 6 foot long-haired ginger bloke would just stare into space and choke people out and tombstone them with like he talks about he embraces the world of death because Paul Bearer made him as he stood by the charred remains of his parents. And like, yes, it sounds grandiose out of context, but you're making sense of a character that initially was like a cartoon. Really, the era that character came up in, I can't think of like another. They never would have gone to the trouble of like. So like Jake the Snake is a guy, like Jake Roberts is amazing, but Jake the Snake is a guy that always carries around a snake. Never once in kayfabe was there an explanation of how he first got his first snake. Just as an example, and the, like when did Rick Rude first fuck? Like nobody actually.
When he's about 13.
No, but it wasn't like a requirement to fill those gaps in, was it? But then, if you'll pardon the choice of words there, but like, but by 7 years in, and the Undertaker getting fixed as a worker by Mankind, this completed the job. And it completed the job while he's on top, and you need to make him a relatable character because he's actually the champion now. You couldn't make 95 purple gloves Undertaker the champion. You couldn't really make 92 babyface Undertaker the champion. It had to be this one. There had to be some like he acts in the Kane reveals and in the don't tell him Paul, give me another week or whatever. He drops the facade. He's actually performing, and it's like. He's locking into something different, and he's clearly motivated by it. It's like, to give you a more relevant one, Matty, like Roman Reigns, when by about 2021 he was working towns and just saying goodbye because he was bored, and he was like, I'll probably never come here again, but it's been nice. And then Sami Zayn starts appearing on TV. The bloodline gets over as fuck, and he's like, you know what? I think I'll come back to work for a bit. Actually, like he was half done with all of this, and then look how he locks back in 2022. Yeah. This is happening to The Undertaker in 97 because the quality of this. Like a year later, these supposedly incinerated parents that wheeled the graves out onto the stage and you could see the bones. And it's like, what the fuck?
I was about to say, like, I don't want to pitch and beg to come on season 2, but when you do Unforgiven, lads, I the call.
Steph's already in front of you in the queue with that one, mate. Sorry, she's reserved it already.
Yeah, I'll be over the edge then.
You should have seen her reactions, mate, to watching back the Undertaker stuff in his denim Harley Davidson jacket, talking to camera, giving you a heart to heart about his little brother Kane following him around.
That, Michael, and there's one as well. Like, I love when they go and dig the parents' graves up and you get all the chokeslam through the casket. But it is, no, to go with your point, I love that. To go with your point of before WrestleMania and how human The Undertaker is, you get that one little segment where he's talking to his mum and dad at the grave. And that, to me, is like, that is the epitome. It's, no, it really, I'm nearly crying, lads. It's fucking unbelievable stuff. Like, love it.
It's the difference between 94 Undertaker versus Undertaker, to Michael's point, to this having so many more layers to it, as daft as it is, while Gareth's looking down on us as a 20-year-old going, come on, kids, it's still fucking zombies fighting over
Put a half crab on Gareth,
Absolutely.
Get to the ring.
Throws a Texas cloverleaf here, please, lads. Come on.
You'd have to wait for MMA marks for that.
Like when the end result of all this good stuff is Glenn. So, like, is the juice worth the squeeze? But, like, at least we're not there yet. So, like...
But yeah, there's loads to love, and I'm looking forward to getting into more of those Raws with it's red hair Paul Bearer as well, Matt. Just
it is.
That, like, and his overreacting and everything about it. He's incredible, as he is here. You know, in the match itself, obviously the background of which Vader being still one of Paul Bearer's charges while Mankind's been abandoned. But we talked all that on Housekeeping, and again, it keeps the rhythm of the night going. Like, I wasn't expecting this to be good at all. And, like, to be honest, going into it, and I think I'd maybe heard it before or maybe thought of it before as a match where Taker doesn't give a Leon lots. I actually think that's the key to why this match works so well as this molten crowd, because by the end of it, the building's basically shaking it, isn't it, for, like, Taker's comebacks, and you weren't always getting that in 96 and 97 with Taker. It's until the main event, as loud as it gets all night for him, but I think it's the work that gets them there. It's the way, maybe to go to you, Gareth, I think the structure of the match is really well done. Like, you could discern it as, like, Taker just giving Leon nothing because he kind of starts the match just battering him basically for a shine, while Paul Bearer's, like, cowering on the outside, like, not wanting to get involved. And the commentary tries to put over Vader because he just won't die. He just keeps coming back. But really, it's just Undertaker battering him. And the same happens when Vader, tries to take over. It's a clothesline Undertaker, but he still sits up and he's still fighting back, and he's still hitting diving clotheslines. Vader tries to smother him with, like, the headlock smothering type thing that he does in there, but Taker's still coming back with, like, the boot counter, and again batter him on the outside until he manages to get thrown knee first into the steps, as Paul does get involved and is shouting at him being a murderer. But, like, I think there's something to that seesaw, and to that keeping Undertaker, like, hot and keeping the crowd going, where I think if the did too much heel heat and did too much of Vader on top, maybe you might have lost the crowd a little bit. But they never go down. They're just up and up and up and up. And, like, I think that feeds in. It's like, it's the perfect match between two big men who aren't necessarily known for, working well with other big men for this particular crowd, because it's fucking electric in there. And that's even before we get to the heat section.
Yeah, and I think, like, when I was, I'm writing my notes down here, like, while I'm watching the match, and I'm writing shine, and then just putting, like, my little bullets here, and then I've written, like, heat kind of thing when the match turns, and then I'm like, oh, like, and it kind of, like, the structure kind of, like, just go in that middle bit, it just goes, like, and it feels like there's, counters and things, like, coming back the other way, and I was like, oh, this isn't following the formula that I expected this one was gonna follow for preconceived ideas. I think it works. I think it's good, like, if you think about it from the point of view that, like, where the crowd is and what the crowd's reacting to and things with the Undertaker stuff. But I suppose you've got to think about it as well. Is like, he's the world champion at this point, and then also, where's Vader in the pecking order at this point? Like, we're 12, we're a long time away. He's not even supposed to be in the match, so he shouldn't get loads in, really, kind of thing. And like I see this as something where he probably had a bit of, like, opportunity to, I don't know, maybe show that he had a bit more about him, and he still had a bit more juice left that they could kind of, like, draw something out of him. But he just looks unmotivated to me in this match. The stuff that he's doing just looks a bit weak and a bit shit. Like, he puts a nerve hold on the Undertaker, and I'm like, Christ, I've never seen a submission with as little effort put onto it as that one. I couldn't believe it. He was like barely touched him. No facial expressions, no nothing. You're like, come on, Leon, at least try a bit, kind of thing. You've got an opportunity here to, reignite your career sort of thing, and he's just put like not. It's like hashtag not my Vader, this kind of thing, I'm still dining on 91, 92 Vader in my mind. So and then you're watching him here, and you're just like fuck, like he looks terrible. And then I'm watching it, I'm thinking, yeah, thank God fucking Taker ate up most of this match, actually, because it meant that the match itself was worth a shit. Because otherwise, if they'd given Leon a lot more, he clearly wasn't, motivated to do much more with it in himself. So the match would have been a lot worse for it. So yeah, wild. I'm getting to the end of a fucking Taker Vader match, and I'm like, yeah, Taker good, Vader bad.
But
never thought those words would leave my mouth.
He was dead from the Undertaker's entrance, because I've never seen when Undertaker lifts the lights up. Vader
himself,
a 230-pound jobber that's like scared of the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and we've just seen on Raw, Matty, Ahmed no selling it. That scene where Ahmed Undertaker the team, and he doesn't even hear it, and it's so fucking cool.
Exactly.
Like Vader's the opposite, isn't he?
Exactly, I couldn't believe that. And I know, as you have said, he's like a replacement or such, but it's still Vader. It's still like, I beat you. Let's have this for the world title. As Gareth saying, he just looks way off it from even that selling at the entrance there. It's wild.
He's never been on it in this entire run. It's part of the problem. Like,
and this is the best stuff, isn't it, Michael? I haven't sat through it now for the last
This is the best Vader match. Like, the Final Four performance by Vader is seen as his opus in WWF. And I would say, like, he's better in that match than he is here. I mean, Christ, that's a low bar, because I'm with Gareth. Like, I was nervous about saying, well, The Undertaker carries this, but, like, he absolutely does. Like, it couldn't have been paced or structured any other way and been as entertaining as it was. And Undertaker seems to conduct the crowd as well, because he spots what's hot. So he offers more of himself to keep it hot. Like, he does go high a lot, and he jumps higher with his clotheslines, he runs faster with his whips. Like, every detail, when he picks up it's the opposite of Triple H earlier on, he picks up what the crowd are responding to. And he's like, well, why would we not just give them a little bit more of that? They didn't expect this from two hosses. And to Gareth's point, if you're going to slap on a cravat, I guess I'll go daft then, and I'll kind of I'll pull that momentum back. This is a better match. Obviously, because the Fatal 4-Way is its own thing at the time. It was very unique. They didn't have to do a pinfall. There was high stakes because it was going to be you were going to win the belt. So there's a lot going for that. That's like bells and whistles. As a match, I think the Undertaker put in such a strong performance here, and Vader is at very least able to be there for stuff. That's the nicest thing I can say about Vader in this. But yeah, he can't be trusted to carry his end of it, which as the heel is all the weirder, because Taker's got to work this as the babyface defending champion and stay on offense for large portions. So that's no easy task as well when you're the Undertaker. Mm-hmm. And I just I don't know, there was a point where Jim Ross on commentary, I think it's when Vader's entering at first, he's like, what Vader are we going to get tonight? He kicked ass at the Final Four. But has he got what it takes to beat the Undertaker? And you can read between the lines really easily. It's it's Jim Ross himself maybe verbalizing a bit of disappointment with how this run's gone. He says he does that Jim Ross thing where he buries people's weight to the point where even Lawler gets one back. He says it's pretty hard to hide when you're 400 pounds, and Lawler goes, "Well, you'd know." And then Jim Ross just shut up about that for a second, which is pretty good. And then because there's a point where he's doing the how we would do the precursor Bowling Shoe Ugly thing where he was nervous that a match was going to be shit, and he goes, well, this isn't going to be Briscoe Funk, and I'm thinking, no, it's going to be good. It's sort of he's doing all of his Rossisms to protect it, because I don't think he's got faith in this match. And then the more it goes on, the more he's just he's wowed by the Undertaker, so he's able to just be honest about the quality rather than just having to shoot on Vader's deficiencies. Undertaker, right? Final Four, Revenge of the Taker against Mankind, Cold Day in Hell against Austin, Canadian Stampede, and we're going to see Ground Zero against Shawn, and Hell in a Cell.
Two Bret matches as well, with Bret in between.
But I'm just talking in our little In Your House time.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
He's the In Your House MVP of 1997. It's not even close. Brett and Steve shit the bed. Brett and Steve, I'm jumping in with me takes before you boys get to it on Bretro, and I cannot wait for the review. I think Revenge of the Taker is a bit of a nightmare, right? Bret and Steve, for their quality and their standard, they have a bit of a mare that night. And like Austin and Bret have good nights and bad nights and different feuds and stuff they're doing and wherever he's in the like Bret's got the flag match at Bad Blood, you know, like he's got the Patriot at Ground Zero. It's not as good as Taker Shawn in the mid, like it's Taker's year on these In Your Houses. It's really like it's better. It's been better than I've remembered. I remember the Bret matches. I think about Undertaker's 97 and I think about SummerSlam and One Night Only and being like, Christ, they were good together that year. But I'd never stacked them up like we are now and just thinking, man, he owns his role. He's the top guy. He's the champion. He's a safer pair of hands because Bret and Shawn are fighting backstage and Steve Austin's still that like unproven commodity on the rise. So he's at last, he's the right guy at the right time and he's earning his spot. I've loved this. Like, I thought I was just going to enjoy the Mankind feud. I've loved this stretch of The Undertaker. Truly. It's brilliant. This Vader thing, Gareth, to your point, it's not an outlier. Like Taker's got a lot of this in the chamber in 97.
And the thing is as well, you think of the man behind it. You think of the shit that he's had to put up with, kind of thing, and then like, you know, clearly for, you know, I'm not an Undertaker guy by any means, sort of thing, but you know, you can see that he's kind of like he cares kind of thing about what he's doing and things like that. And then if you think now he's suddenly putting in a territory in this time period where the storylines are giving him an avenue to some extent to sort of like escape from the character that he has been, kind of thing. You know, he's not getting thrown in there with, you know, Giant Gonzalez anymore and kind of monster the thing. Now he's getting a chance to sort of like go in there and do a bit more and kind of, you know, work with people who are going to give him a bit more and kind of probably show what he can do a bit more. Like, he's got to be significantly more motivated, like just as a man getting out of bed every morning, hasn't he, kind of thing? Like he's got to be thinking like, this is better going to work and doing this and working with these people and kind of showing a different side to my character and things like that. So it's kind of unsurprised in some ways that he does have that kind of a bit of a, I was going to say a renaissance, but sort of almost like the first kind of rumblings of the better worker that he would become, sort of over the you know, over the course of the latter half of his career, really, because he must be buzzing to go and have these matches with these people and his character evolve as it's starting to do, like in this way.
With that, I'm sick of Jericho getting labelled like changing with the times. The Undertaker, like you said, was the first to do it. He evolved with the times, like the wrestling fans, like you're saying. This time period, 97.
Oh, Terry Funk.
Yeah, I'll leave that to Michael. That's Michael's. But you know what I mean? It's like this rabid fan base and these like, you know, normal like people per se coming in, non-wrestling fans. It's like, we need to make this a bit more exciting, a bit more. And he's going with the times and he's changing, he's evolving, and he'll always do that. I know, as you say, it's not everyone.
And then he devolves eventually.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does eventually, but not as quick as you think, Benno. Which we might talk about.
Yeah, 20 years of shite, mate. Isn't that what we say about the
I'm not getting into it. But like Mike, I've never thought of it like that, Michael, at all. When you break that 97 down, because you don't think of that in 1997, really, do you? You think of the Hart and Steve and that, but when you've mentioned that, it's like, wait a minute, yeah, banger after banger after banger there. So glad you said it.
Can't wait to get to 1998. Always said it was my favourite year. But to pull us back to this match, I've just got a couple of extra notes on the match, and if anyone's got any, throw in. Like, I do think, like, again, the closing stretch of how loud this crowd gets to Undertaker again is testament to the year that he's having here. And the more investment you can have in him now that he's a bit more human and there is this story going on, I think it's all connected. I don't think you're getting these reactions when he's being zombie Mark back in the day, because they're as loud as they are all night for him, grabbing the goozle and going for the choke slam. There's a couple of very funny Vader moments in here as he tries to run into the tombstone, doesn't he? And then try and do the flip over reversal, which just ends. I don't even think that's necessarily Leon's fault. It's just he's not got the body type to do that, has it? You need long legs to pull that off. Like Vader's, like he's wider than he is tall. Like it was never gonna work.
You know, Taker say stay down for the count as well, don't you?
Yeah, and he just goes for the pin.
He just about save it. Yeah,
you try and cover it. And I also think as well, like the finishing stretch where Vader goes for the Vader bomb, and it's one of those things. It's a bit like when he goes for the moonsault. Sometimes it's like you've never stayed on the corner that long, as he's clearly waiting for Taker to get up and catch you and go for the choke slam. But to be fair, even if you are one of those people who thinks Undertaker should have given Vader more, the top rope chokeslam doesn't polish him off. He then goes for a regular chokeslam. That doesn't polish him off. It's the tombstone eventually that gets him. But I actually think he protects him a bit. And it results in a big pop. I think they master all elements of this match. It gets Undertaker over. I think it protects Vader well enough, and it gives you another hot match that just keeps this crowd building as the night goes on.
But also, you forgot to mention the funniest bit in the match. What about that flurry of uppercuts to Vader's belly, Gareth? And then he just gives it that one. He does take a few good
The noise, though. The noise for that when he's doing it.
Oh, the camera's chasing. It is.
No wonder he started calling himself the best pure striker. Because if you watch that back, you'd think it was true. Like, they're going nuts for it when he's flinging them at him. Like,
my notes right there, mate. The best pure striker, them dudes.
I thought the funniest part of the match was the commentary when the heat's in and Bearer's getting involved and getting some shots in with his boot, as it Lawler says. If the heel doesn't get him, the smell will.
get up, you murderer.
It's when he hits him, and it's that smug look you see on every video package where he's walking away, dead happy, but then he's still
the strut,
murderer. He just changes straight away.
Camera right in his face though as well, kind of thing. So he's really coming into your living room, kind of thing. Like, oh, brilliant.
Was he working in the theatre in his spare time? Where's Paul Bearer this good? We worked out, by the way, Matty, on Housekeeping, 42 years old at this point. Is Paul Bearer. I'm a year off it. Not even a year, I think. 6 months at this point.
5 years older.
But he's brilliant. He's so good.
He's always I think he's one of the most, dare I say, underrated characters and performers of all time that never gets mentioned because of his association with Undertaker, who people don't really are fond of these days. He gets forgotten about for me too much, Paul Bearer, and I'm glad he's getting his flowers. But Ben, you know me, mate, I begrudgingly hate agreeing with you, but you nailed this match. It's the structure is. It's the bombs area, like you said, with Undertaker. He's hitting them clotheslines straight out the gate to keep the fans hot. He knows what he's doing here. So, hats off to you there, lad.
I'll take it.
I like any Vader match with
Great
that.
podcast.
He does it too
well. Are we not done? Oh, I thought that was it. Okay. Go on,
he does it to Sean at National Incident. I like whenever he puts that cravat on. It's a terrible move and nobody in the building enjoys it. But I just like watching the person in it because they're that close to the mask and they're not having to sell pain. They're going, this fucking stinks. It's written across their face that they're basically you're at kissing distance with Vader's mask. And it's like, oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
We you might not have got to it yet, Gareth, but me and Benno review it was the King of Cable match against Sting, and it was for a housekeeping request, and it's just it's too much of a whiplash effect watching 96 Vader and then it's different human being. That's fundamentally my beef with Vader. I have a bit of fun taking the piss out of him, but I'm obviously not blind to when he's great. But I find him to be overrated because I think there are quite long stretches of Vader's career that don't really hold up. But when he's good, I mean, Christ, and when he's in there, certainly when he's got the right chemistry with the right guy, that's probably my favorite of the Sting matches. And them two are it's perfect, isn't it? Them two, born for each other.
It's almost like he'd been mentally castrated when he came to the fucking Fed, though, wasn't it?
I think a lot of it's confidence.
Shawn Michaels stuff and things like that. You can just tell that his head's got there's all stuff with Gorilla and all that boss, isn't it? But
he's not good, but he's hot.
His confidence, you can tell his confidence is shot. It's like
Sean, as you say that.
It's like good old Sean sticking his nose into the situation there one too many times. But it's almost like it's a different actor playing Vader, isn't it, or something like that? It's definitely doesn't feel like Big Van Vader.
And you get flashes of it, forget the Shamrock match we talked about last month, Michael. How much fun that was. No holds barred, the term for UFC at the time. Thanks for Kieran for pointing that out. But that was great. That was the Vader you more wanted to see, and there's flashes of it in certain points. But unfortunately, you've made me a bit of a believer that the shit people say about Vader's WWF run, it's not as one-sided, I think, as the history books would tell you. I think he's lacking a lot on his side too. Well, that takes us on. Obviously, I think we're going to spend a long time in the main event, so I'll recap what happens between here and the main event, and have at it, lads, with anything you want to talk about. We get a bit of a video to promote the SummerSlam is coming up. We get more Hart Foundation stuff knocking around Calgary. We get a video package for all the gangs running wild, which I know you will have loved, Matty. I'm sure you'll have plenty to say on. And the headline of it, Michael, before we go to Farmer's Daughter, whoever they are, singing the Canadian national anthem, we get a bit of a backstage promo with the lads, Goldust, Legion of Doom, Ken Shamrock, and Steve Austin, as they obviously cut the promos because Goldust just loves America, as we know at this point. You get a Ken Shamrock looking terrified at the camera promo once again here. You get your generic LOD promo, and you get Steve being Steven just walking off, which is just chef's kiss. Perfect stuff. And that sums up this team of babyfaces.
It's so funny, man. Like, we said this on the last one. Shamrock's still at that point where Vince's note is, we've got 3 million t-shirts printed that say "in the zone," so can you really get that over? And he's forgotten every other word in the English language other than "in my zone," because he's thinking about those merch checks and not getting in trouble. He's the world's most dangerous man, and he's the world's most scared talker. Like, I'm in my zone. See out there. Meanwhile, like, Goldust, a bit like when they set the match up, is trying to, like, he's also been humanized by the JR interviews. We know he's Dusty's kid. He's Terry's husband. He's Dakota's dad, all that kind of thing. So he's just trying to be in it. He's almost a natural in pain, isn't he? I'm an American and I'm going to fight for America. Yeah. LOD have actually got like something normal to talk about. It's the US versus Canada. It's beating the heart and all that. But they can't help but be 1980s wrestlers. It's not about USA versus Canada. It's about survival of the fittest. No, it's actually about USA versus Canada.
That's the whole point, mate.
Like it's not about breaking bones and snapping necks. It's about USA versus Canada, lads. Put your spikes on and get to work. And Austin's perfect.
Ahmed's already sold them on eBay, or whatever eBay was in '97.
But even Vince makes it with the LOD, doesn't he? Like when jumping ahead, but it's like they are the American originals. I've been told he says that they are. It's like it's built into it, like.
Yeah. It was funny though because I couldn't remember this promo, and then like I was watching it, and then I was like, why is Steve stood here with these kind of thing? Like it was annoying me as they were all talking, and I was like, and then you're sort of watching Steve, and he was sort of like looking away a bit. And then when he just fucked off at the end, I was like, yes, kind of thing. Like it was just like joy kind of thing. Because I was starting to get annoyed, thinking like, why is he going to wait and stand around for all these to talk before then he says a little bit kind of thing? But it was just like, they just got the character just so right. Even like in an environment like this where he has to team with other people,
so committed,
kind of thing. They've just got it fucking nailed. Like, brilliant, so good.
I always say it, Matty, but like there comes a point where I think with Steve where like in 97, he's just unwilling to be diluted at all. He's especially early 97, he's still acting like heel Steve and doing all the things heel Steve would do, which is why he's so great. It's like a character actor who's just completely committed to the role. I think he does let loose a little bit more once you get into 98, 99. I always think the stuff with, he saves Stephanie from The Undertaker. He wouldn't have done that in 1997. Why my character get involved? Oh, did he give a fuck about Stephanie McMahon? I think he let some of that go in 98. And if anything, maybe like he needed to let go a little bit just to fully let the fans fully embrace him as we go through 1997. But I don't know, that's why I always say to you, I prefer 97 Steve. There's just something more pure about it. There's just something, it's just he's exactly who he was at the end of 1996. It's just people cheer him now, and that's my Steve. Hashtag my Steve.
I agree, Ben. Like my favourite year is 1996 to 2004, Steve. I agree with you there.
1996 till 2026. Don't forget the Kevin Owens match.
We had that gap, but no, totally, you're right, and that's why like we agree on this, Ben. I think it's like I'm not putting them in the same. Obviously, no one's in the same bracket as Steve. But it's like people who take it serious. We always mention like your low keys, right? He went on top with the job, and it's some people who take it to Bret, as much as you love him. When these wrestlers take it serious, that's when you get the best performances for me. Totally, and believing in what you're doing and having that like consistency in what you're doing as well. It's dialed up to 11, isn't it? Like Steve always says. It's just I could spend all day talking about him, and I'm gonna wax lyrical when we get into this match and performance, especially the end, because it's just I might actually start crying, lads. Genuinely, I might actually have tears.
There's multiple points in this, mate. Even I welled up.
Yeah, incredible.
But should we set the scene for the main event? I mean, I don't know. The match is going to go in all kinds of directions, so we'll do obviously we need to do the pre-match before we get there, but it's the 10-man tag team main event that we have here for the Canadian Stampede. We actually get to see some celebrities in the crowd. Ralph Klein, Stu and Helen Hart, they're celebrities to me. Maybe less so Bruce, who's we get one of the first instances of trying to
Mate, whoever that was, was he the mayor, the equivalent to the mayor of Calgary or whatever?
That was Ralph Klein, that's
the building. And the Hearts were bigger stars. Stu and Helen, good to see the matriarch and the patriarch together.
Well, tell that not all the Hearts, Matty, because Stu stood up and then Bruce was like, well, I'm having some of this. And he raised Stu's arm. So he's such a rat, isn't he? He's such a fucking rat.
Stu hates it, doesn't he? Stu knows what he's doing. He knows his own son is trying to get himself over here and he's not having any of it. It's a sign of what's to come.
You know, Bruce is sat there watching it, isn't it? Because where it was his whole idea for the Owen heel turn on Bret, and that was he's sat there looking and thinking that should be me in there. That should be me who's been reunited with my brother, and he's probably like the jealousy kind of thing going through his Bret. Right, but I've still got a chance. I can make it count. I've got on-screen time as he does every time that he's like on any. He's in the crowd on any event. Just go away, Bruce. And I'll have some more on that from Bret's book later.
I've got a recent Bret talking one that I'd never heard before. There's always a Bruce stories now. I thought I'll bring that to the podcast because there's always new Bruce bullshit, isn't there?
Oh. Well, I'll take you through the face entrances and then I'll do the heels and then I'll fucking get out the way because there's a lot to get into here. But we start with the baby faces coming out. Goldust gets himself a bit of a pop, obviously in the midst of his babyface run here. Ken Shamrock gets a decent pop here. Matty, has some fans of his are shown in the crowd, which is random as fuck. A couple of notable fans there, I'm sure you made notes of. LOD, of course, get the LOD pop as Jim Ross thanks the UK fans for staying up live and watching this on Sky Sports. I was watching it in my bedroom in the morning, distinctly remember the bed, the room, all of it, and my reaction to some of the stuff in this match as well. And then Steve comes out too, I would say, and we've been kind of covering this, haven't we, Michael, as far as the Austin pop not quite being there yet when it comes to some of the... It's not like the glass smashes and it's immediate like it is, in a couple of months. It's still, big babyface pop, but not quite that level. In my memory, he gets booed from the open here, and we're going to get into what happens in the match itself and the story they tell, but he kind of pretty much gets cheered here, doesn't he, on the entrance? At least more cheers than I remember before we get to the heels.
Yeah, it's I suppose the fans know at the point at which they've got to play along, but he's just starting to develop that Pavlovian response, isn't he? I think that's the same with what you said about LOD as well. There's definitely a point there where they've got a permission slip to cheer the wrestlers, and then as soon as the Hearts emerge on stage, that permission slip has been ripped away. Yeah, once they're out there and you remember who's who, you can't cheer them. You've got to like the fans almost feel like they've got to play their part. The commentators say it again. I feel like nothing we say about this crowd is a new take, but it is. They've nailed that football match atmosphere here. They've nailed that that derby atmosphere. You've nailed your colours to the mast, and in this case, it's the colours of your flag. And you absolutely cannot, even if you started to enjoy Steve Austin on Raw, you can't say that out loud. I might when I was younger, I might have been yeah, well done, Alan Shearer. He's scoring for England. That's brilliant. But I'm not going to think that in the league every week when he's putting on a Newcastle top. It's that's probably where Austin's at with these. In a year's time, Austin gets a street named after him in Canada. They were desperate for him to finish feuding with the Heart so they could just fall in love with him.
They could.
Massive in Canada.
Montreal, Michael. He gets
the night after
the Raw. We get more than Owen at Survivor Series. He gets a big pop in that arena, and that entrance there, Steve once again committing to the character. He's fucking loving it when he's coming out, isn't he? He's jaw jacking the fans. He's right into it, mate. I'm telling you,
he knows what's coming. Well, I'll go to the Bretro boys first as we then get the Hearts entrances here. As we have Pillman coming out first, knows his role. I love that he's encouraging the pops. He's literally trying to get the fans going, isn't he? He knows what we're in for here. He's not LOD. He's not blind to what is coming here. Jim Nideout comes out second with a song I'd forgotten I knew. We then get Davey coming out third with Diana. Tears are starting to form here, Matty, as I'm watching them all come together here like Voltron. Owen comes out. I love this because Owen gets a pop, and that's so fucking cool to see, isn't it? Like, and I'm kind of like, I want them to soak it in and enjoy it, but instead it looks like he's giving Davey last minute instructions because clearly Davey's forgotten what he's supposed to do next, so he doesn't get to enjoy it as much as I hope he would. Yeah.
It's where they stood on the stage. Owen saying to Davey, "Fucking move over, you thick twat."
Bret's in there.
Brett's got to be in the middle, like Davey and Jim, like fucking Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
It's Jim as well.
Yeah, like they've both got to move that way so that Brett can stand in the middle. And Owen's like, "What the fuck across?" Like, you know, Brett's on the monitor being like, "Owen, can you tell them two to fucking sort of shit out?"
But I love that I love, like, at this point we get the extra gap as well because the crowd have gone crazy for all four of them, but they just let it sit for a few seconds, let the anticipation go, and then Brett's music comes out. I'm like, God, I've got to go to you first. Like, I think it's written all over Brett's face because it's the story of this night. It's the validation, isn't it, in character and in real life? Everything he said was always true. He was always still a hero in Canada. He is the one in the right. And like, what a fucking moment when he comes out here and you get all five of the lads on stage. It's fucking goosebumps. I think Brett always says it, doesn't he? It's like one of his great memories is that scene of all of them there, and it's unbelievable stuff.
Oh, what is it, Matty? You do that? Like, it's like fucking arms, back of all down my spine. My head was tingling watching this again, kind of thing. Like, it was unreal. Like the level of pop there, and like, you know, when you see him, like when you see your guy kind of thing, like just basking in it kind of thing, like you said, Benno, that little pause there as well, just adding to it. And I think just sort of like the build throughout, you know, like bit of a pop for Ohio's Brian Pillman, you know, bit more of a pop for California's Jim Neidhart, a little bit more for Goldbones or Manchester or Leeds or Liverpool's Davey Boy there. But when the two Canadian lads come out, you know, the proper ones, boss, you know, and get that pop. But like, I thought the Owen pop was big, but then when you watch it again, that pop for Bret is just absolutely insane. I've never seen a building fucking. Was it like that in San Antonio for Sean? I can't remember.
There's too many people, mate. You couldn't pinpoint.
Yeah, just a bigger house.
Yeah. Open air, you know, stadium stuff. You know, Bret wouldn't know about that. Other than about
I was going to say, Matty, this one was for you. Did you have in your notes Jim Neidhart's music?
Yeah, well, Benno alluded to it there. I forgot all about it, but we're soon to hit. It was like
from what you could make out of it over the crowd, like.
Did someone else use it? Didn't he?
Yeah, it was. I was like, oh, brilliant! We've got Brian Pillman, we got British Bulldog, we got Bret, we got Owen, and of course the fifth member of the Hart Foundation, Alundra Blaze. Like, just Jim never got his own theme, did he? When he came back, it was like, just give him Bret or something, whatever. Like, he used to use the old Bret music, didn't he? When he came back as a heel with Owen, but they couldn't have played that because it would have been too similar to Bret's tune. So they can't like dilute the pop. Yeah.
But it's one of them, and I know it's obvious to say it is the biggest pops they all get probably, but Jim's loving it because it literally is the biggest pop he ever had and ever got again, isn't it? You know what I mean? So he is, to be fair, I love that side of it as well. You can tell he's a bit tucked back because he gives Pillman that big like adrenaline double high five as soon as he comes out. He's like, I'm over. I'm finally over.
Doesn't get better than this.
I love Jim. No, we've always got a soft spot for Jim, haven't we, Gareth? We like Jim.
New foundation was worth it all along.
Key part of the act, isn't he, in them early days? So yeah, it was nice to see him where he's absolutely washed, getting one last day in the sun here.
I think I've said that on Bretro, and I always like, not that it would have been the biggest barn burner of all time, but we didn't get that Bret and Anvil match even on telly, did we, Michael? It was more Coliseum video, maybe. There's a
Coliseum video, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just love to have seen it because without jumping ahead, there's a bit in the match where you see the Hart Foundation Gareth doing, and I'm like, I got it, mate. It's like, it's good to see it. It's genuinely what you fucking watch wrestling for, like, honestly.
That'd be 10 a penny now, wouldn't it? You couldn't get DIY near each other in a rumble with them. We're doing the moves from NXT that nobody gives a fuck about.
You'd be fucking teasing it like 10 months before and then going on about it on Twitter 10 months after. He'd literally done it and that's it. You know what I mean?
It was an Easter egg, wasn't it? For those who were paying attention.
Purely, mate.
It's just the way my brain works. I might have messaged one of you about this. I can't remember. The point I'll not spoil Benno's recap of it, but like that exact moment you've just talked about, Matty, with Bret and Jim, the way my brain works, I watched that, and rather than just reveling in the joy of it, I got pissed off with WCW because it took me back to that match. They fucked the entire Hart family, so thanks very much. But like, it's fucked up Davey, it's shit Jim, and it's bored Bret with Wolfpack Lex in that tag match on Thunder, where Bret comes out to be Luger's. Luger needs a mystery partner. And it's just basically a squash of bold like Davey and Jim, and Bret comes out and he does it, and it's like you're thinking Bret Hollywood, but he doesn't turn on Luger, because it's when the NWO are dividing up, and like Bret in his black wrist tape, like fighting with Jim in the pink tights, and I'm like, what the fuck have they done to my boys? Like, go. Like, get back home, come home where we look after the sick and the old, like.
The idea of Davey and Jim being a tag team as well, like, you fucking thinking of that, like,
sick, man, sickening.
Well, we go from the obviously the great entrances as the Harts walk down to the ring. Commentary just notes at this point down that there are cameras at ringside filming a documentary on Bret Hart's life. I don't think I caught that before. That's cool to see. It obviously ties into what Michael was saying about the backstage as well. And
it's funny though, because Jim Ross says, hopefully this will be a significant part of it, and I'm just like, what a sort of weird sort of anti-foreshadowing of what will actually become sort of the most significant part of it. Like, it's wild rewatching this stuff with the knowledge that you've got, kind of thing. It's mental.
Don't do it, Matty.
It's almost like some people would say it's what is it, a work maybe, but anyway, we'll save that for another time.
We're not doing that. Patreon's took enough of it.
All right, Razor.
You're not bringing this podcast down as well, although we have got to do we will have to do a Housekeeping on Montreal in a few months, Michael. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I love you. It's coming. The death of Benno and Hamflett.
No, you're right. I've already got my notes on Doug Furness and Phil Lafon on Team Canada. I'm ahead of it. Don't worry.
Unbelievable that that's what Survivor Series ends up being, rather than this gloriousness that we have here. But again, the match is going to be a tough one to go through because I'm sure we've all got a million thoughts because a million fucking things happen. That's why this is great. But maybe before we get to like the key bits of the match, which is Austin and Owen taken out, like, I'll give you some of my highlights from the start of it, and then we can kind of pick at it, I suppose. And there was only one place the match could have started as well here, which I'm sure you guys have got lots of notes on, which is, of course, Bret and Steve. And I love that, like, this is, like you said, Michael, the moment where, while they cheered Steve on his entrance, and they're reminded when the Harts come out who they should really cheer for, like, this just crystallizes it, doesn't it? Like, the two of them going back and forth, and Bret getting the cheers, and Steve getting the boos, and he's already bang into it, isn't it? He's already loving it. He's already knowing that he's going to be leaning into this and having the fucking time of his life over these next half hour. And like, he's already in like that, almost that like early 96 or early 97 Steve mold of bumping round is very much the heel here. They do the $1 Million Dream tease in here as well. And yeah, it's just the most electric way you could start the match, and it immediately tells us, the direction and the way this match is going to go and the roles each of those men are going to play.
I know the Steve is half deaf, but there's no way he couldn't hear this reaction. That camera was shaking, wasn't it? It got so loud like that, but people are literally vibrating, and like as that brawl takes place, you can see that hard camera bouncing, and then like Austin gets backed off into the corner, and they have to cut to because the steady camera is shaking. They cut to like a hand camera, so Austin gets caught full on camera, just going "fuck you" to a fan. He's like he's deliriously happy as he's like throwing the fists and fire and that. Yeah. It, like, not to downgrade the rest of the match, obviously, but there are so many points in the first couple of minutes where like this can't fail. Like Dave Meltzer like said that it was Moxley and Tomohiro Ishii in the G1. He said he knew it was a 5-star match, something like 27 seconds in. But it's just that every now and then you're watching something, you're like, this can't miss. This is going to be magic till the very end. Like, not that this was ever going to fail, but literally with it. Like, what if like one of them tripped in the first lockup and he's like, oh shit! Like, they get the momentum and that's it. The tone is set and it's never lost from that point on.
Match within a match, isn't it, Gareth?
And what a decision as well to start with Bret and Steve, because because they might, you see plenty of matches like this where they don't. It's like, oh, let's hold off on the two people that people want to see touch the most. Like, let's like get that tag that looks like you're finally going to get it, and you tease it kind of thing, and it doesn't happen until the finish or much later on or something like that. To start with it, like, what a fucking right decision, because if they were already going batshit crazy off the entrances of the Hearts alone, just this, just the striking exchange, literally just fucking trading strikes kind of thing, just right at the start. Like, it's mental. Like, you're watching that camera shaking, and I'm just like, is this legit kind of thing? Like, is this like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're not seeing anything like it. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it since, like, from that standpoint, but it just like I don't like. I sometimes like look at like moments as a wrestling fan where there's things that you're gonna like love that like so much, but I don't understand how if you were turning the channel and you just happened to be on this at that time with that crowd going bonkers, like you'd have, even if you'd never watched wrestling in your life, you'd have to stop and watch kind of thing, because you're like, what the fuck is going on here? This is insane, and it's just got that like whole feeling about it.
And without turning this into an episode of Bretro, Gareth, you're rubbing off on me.
I haven't got the notes.
No, but it's typical from the start there. Like, how many times, this was in America, you get Steve wearing Bret down with his typical stomping in the corner mud hole stomps. It's roles reversed, perfect for the situation. It's seeing Steve getting literally chopped down like a tree in the corner, and the place is coming unglued. It's perfect, like everyone said there. Way to start this match and to get the fans even more invested.
The hyena.
I always go back to the hyenas of Lion King whenever Bret says that, It's one of mine.
I'm going to give you boys a freebie across the podcast divide here, because that camera shaking, Matty will know where I'm going here. Our Fed brains connect.
Yes.
That camera doesn't shake like that, right? Again, of all the times until 2010, right? And it's the go home Raw before SummerSlam where the Nexus are going to take on Team WWE. Yeah. And the reason the camera shakes is because it's the first time the teams have come together, and Team WWE have got Bret Hart as their big name guy, and they're all throwing fists. And so from 97 camera shakes to 2010, and Bret Hart is the connective tissue. Those worked punches work just as well, like decades later. And it's like, holy shit, how have they actually stumbled on this being as hot? Cena killed it on Sunday, but like, that on that Monday night, for that one split second, never did it in the Invasion, never did it with sort of Batista's rise, anything like that. Like, and it's Bret's the connective tissue between the two. People were just willing to buy in because it's like, hang on, Bret's working for the Team WWE. I actually need to care. Like, this might actually bring people together behind the dreaded threat of the Nexus.
Yeah, I think Sean's shit too, lads. I agree. Go on.
He always loved working Heath Slater, Gareth, didn't he? As he's discovered on them,
on his list,
X videos, he loves him. Yeah. He looked after him.
Nate Sheamus, though, weirdly. I think he'd like him, but no.
On them European house shows where he could do a bit more.
He looked after him, didn't he?
Oh, and he's dropping the elbow, isn't he? In his jeans.
He didn't think they were getting filmed, did he? He didn't.
Like I say, before we get to the Steve and Owen kind of being taken out, which is again the linchpin of the match, we get some very interesting like combos in the early stages. So I don't know if anyone's got any notes on these. Obviously, we got Anvil and Austin going back and forth. We got Shamrock and Pillman going back and forth. Like Owen going back and forth with Goldust just fucking loving the pops, and Austin sucks chants going off and such, like mega pops for him, mega pops for Davey as well. Obviously we got a bit of Owen and Davey against the LOD in the early stages of this, with Bulldog getting the biggest pop he's had since 1992 for his delayed suplex and the running power slam he hits on Hawk. Like, some of these interactions are just molten, aren't they? They're quite basic stuff, but it's a fucking lot of stuff. It's like, it doesn't take a breather. We even get in the LOD and the Bulldog and Owen stuff, we even get a Doomsday device in there. It's just like, it's almost like an indie match at points. It's just fucking do all your shit, lads. The crowd are going crazy, and LOD are like, well, the only idea we've got's our finish, so they fucking throw that in as well. It's just, highlights from like these early stages, Gareth. Like, there's a lot of just fun interactions, isn't there, between all of the different disparate characters here.
I have to rewind to one that you just missed there, the first one after Bret and Steve. Jim and Ken, and like when Jim's like the hilarious sight of Jim Neidhart doing like feigning like leg kicks or feigning like kick checks kind of thing, where it's like unreal, and then where Ken fakes low and then kicks him in the head. I was crying. I was absolutely like, it's so brilliant. But seeing Jim Neidhart like just lifting his leg, like going for just checking the kick or teasing that he's going to kick himself. I was in bits there, but but then like when you said there, the Pillman Shamrock, where like the fact that you can have things like this brought in, but where Pillman's tapping Shamrock's hand on the mat, trying to make it look like that he's tapping out. I was crying. It was just brilliant. Just like so clever, such good stuff. Like brilliant. I'm not going to eat it all up. Don't worry, lads.
It's the most shoot Lou Fez press of all time, because Jim's not taking a bump, is he? Steve literally attacks him.
You almost end up out the ring.
It's just, you can't do that, can he, Jim? And Austin just beats the shit out of him. It's great. It is. Even Bret and Animal, I've got Bret Hart and Animal locking up. It's just random.
Yeah.
It's good to see. Like, I love stuff like that, but you don't see often. Love it. But the Doomsday as well, as I say, it's Owen takes the moonsault bump, doesn't he? But like he kind of over-rotates, lands on his knees type thing. It's as safe as you can do, I'd say, but it's still dodgy, isn't it?
The setup though as well, though, like the power slam ambulance on Owen off the ropes, like it looks so.
Animal's
like,
always had one of the best power slams, hasn't he?
That power slam, absolutely amazing. But then Owen drop kicks him from the top, and what a fucking monster pop that got! Like when Owen G's after Owen G's up the crowd after that, like just class, just having such a great time. I've got to go back to the football derby atmosphere, because it is like when the baby faces get back, and like you mentioned the Doomsday, like it is indie-rific in the sense that it's just, well, we've got our moves, let's do them. But think about when you're watching the derby and how stressed you get when the other team's attacking, and then how you roar as soon as you get the ball back and break fast. That's what this match is, because the heels get control, and it's like, right, the Hearts get control, and the building's like, yes, here we go. And then they get cut off with something, the baby, and you can feel the tension in the building. They cannot win. They cannot fucking win. And it's just, it's that. That's what they use, that back and forth. It's just, imagine two football teams, attack, defend, break, like fast break, and that's like it's like the chains of offense are like patterned after like an indie match of the present day, but it is telling that story, if that makes sense. It's matching the crowd's energy. Like the Austin and Owen write-offs that we get to in a minute. I don't really like them, because I don't know if like it's almost, I see why they've done it on paper, but I almost wish they'd call an audible and not bothered with it, because I don't really think the match needed something extra, because you could have ran with it. Yeah, that was it. You could. It strips away it feels real until that point, because you know that everybody's going, well, nothing's happening now till these two come back.
Yeah,
you know, like that waiting for the finish feeling, rather than just, I'm in this, I'm living on. Oh my god, like this match is never going to end with like Ken Shamrock getting a pin on Jim Neidhart with a leg kick, but you're believing that it might, like, because anything can end it, you know.
It might end with Bruce Hart getting involved, but we'll get there. But as you rightly say, yeah, like that's kind of, they treat it as the flashpoint of the match, and it's obviously Owen bringing Owen to the corner and ramming his legs into the post, grabbing a chair, going after him, at which point Bruce Hart gets involved for the, I would say, second time of the night, trying to grab Steve, and you can feel Steve just being like, fuck off, mate, what are you doing? This isn't the spot, what are you doing? Like, but again, important part of the match, and I think it works as well in, like, you know, Steve has done this to Owen, so then, you know, it allows us to swing for the Hearts to get Austin in the corner, and it's just fucking cathartic, isn't it? Just seeing them all wail on him, which they do a couple of times in the match, and the crowd are going crazy, just loving Austin getting a taste of his own medicine while Owen is being helped up by the ramp. Yeah, absolutely. They're all fuming at him at that point, and then you're right, it's Bret that pulls Austin back and pulls him out to the outside, and then he's the one who beats on him. But it's the fire extinguisher, isn't it? He uses there, and obviously the figure four in the of the ring post that we all are big fans.
I always say,
Benno,
at least things. Steve grabbed Bret's finger like Bill, you know what I mean? At least he protected him. You know what I mean?
Hold on.
You always got to say that, right? Yeah, it is.
Proper worker. But yeah, your thoughts on like this element of the story, Gareth, as far as the drama goes at this point in the match?
Yeah, I think it needs, I think you sort of get that bit where it just sort of it breaks down just before that, and it sort of starts to get a bit more chaotic with sort of run-ins, like you say. You've had like just the, Hawk running in so they can do the Doomsday device and things like that, and it really feels like it's had some form of structure early on with the pairings and things, but it's starting to just break up and it's starting to, like fall apart a little bit. I'm with Michael definitely on this, with the idea of the need to send Owen and Steve to the back in the match. When I was watching it again today, I felt that I was a bit like, would he go, kind of thing, like, and why is Steve Austin going to go to the back like after this? Like, that was the only bits of the match that I didn't buy, and I know it sort of like feeds in, but even the Owen comeback isn't necessarily, from a production point of view, treated the best in terms of the way it happens, like necessarily. So I don't know. I thought it was I don't know, a bit odd. It doesn't take that much away from the match, like certainly, but like I just think it doesn't. It didn't sort of sit perfectly with me. But there's just some bits here though, like when Owen needs to go to the back. I love that Bret's there with his side, and Bret's the one walking him sort of back, and it just kind of, when you've been watching as long as we have, and we've seen the breakdown in the relationship, and then you've seen the build up back to the relationship, and the cry and the hug and all that, and like he's Bret with his little baby brother kind of thing, like looking after him and sending him back to the refs to send it back. It just played in nicely, as like it sort of almost feels like there's loops been closed in stories or things like that going on this. I thought you'd enjoy this one, Matty, as Pillman and Austin go at it as well, and you've got Steve showing the world Brian's solid ass.
Oh yeah. Oh mate, I mean, he's literally just pulling, isn't he? Like, there's no need for it at all. There's no need.
Pillman's idea, that 100%.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
But you're still always looking at that though. Like when you see them, I'm thinking Hollywood Blondes kind of thing. You know what I mean? It feels like a little. You obviously you had all the stuff in the Fed with them, but you still. It's almost like little Easter eggs of pairings kind of thing happening and stuff.
But you know what, bit I completely, like I said earlier on, like seeing this match loads, I was like a Mandela effect to me. I was like, have they added this on after it? Like when they throw Shamrock over the table and that, I've never, that bit just didn't exist in my mind in this match. I was like, how's that happen? Like, it's weird.
It was almost like a way to just get everybody together on the outside, wasn't it? To do like the wild brawling again. But I know what you mean. Yeah, there's a few spots in this that I've forgotten. Yeah, it's just before this point, isn't it, where we do get the double backbreaker from Bret and Jim in there as well. So you've got a little bit of a structure in there amongst the mayhem as well, Michael.
Yeah, I think like that was like when you'd said earlier on about how it's like a lot of basic moves at points, but because everything's done to a thunderous reaction, that sort of becomes the story. So it's like, not that the Hart Foundation didn't have cool double team moves, but it wouldn't have mattered if they didn't. It was the mere fact of them. When I say Hart Foundation, I mean Bret and Jim. It was the mere fact of them two working together was that bit, was that it almost like that became like it's the match sort of, especially after Bret and Steve and Owen disappear, because you're waiting for them to come back. It's bizarre because it feels a bit aimless, but you don't want it to end. Like normally when a match goes a bit like off the rails, you're a bit like, right, okay, wrap it up, go home, whatever. With this one, it's because it's so hot and everybody is so visibly having fun. Like you could watch this match 10 times and just watch the faces individually of each wrestler. Yeah. Like you could like, remember Sky Sports Player Cam? Like I wish I had that for this match and I would watch it 10 times. What's Pillman laughing at? What's he doing fucking around on the floor? Like Ken Shamrock sometimes it looks a bit like rabbit in the headlights, but sometimes he's looking around going, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant, Like they're all so locked in, and just like even Goldust, who's probably like takes the biggest back seat in this match of everyone. He's only recently turned babyface, and he's getting to like he's unzipping the gear for the first time, and he's feeling that like it's as if he's like it's 91, 92, and he's in a War Games match. He's got that exact same, like he's got his chest out again,
Yeah, old Dustin Rhodes. That's JR busting out a Dusty impression.
There's always something to look at, and that's not a criticism about what's actually happening in the ring, but it's I don't know. There aren't many matches and there aren't many viewing experiences like this, to the point where even when the match does like go off the rails a bit, are you thinking, if you're watching it with the sound off or you're watching it in isolation, you could probably be like, well, that exchange didn't work as well. But you'd never know in the singular viewing experience.
It's funny you say that because I found myself watching Animal loads. Animal, you can just tell, was absolutely fucking like on another level in his mind, like how hyped up he was and things. The way
Skin on fire, like they're all like, yeah.
Oh, like the way he was hitting people, the way like it was fucking like semi-uncontrollable at some points, kind of thing. The way he's like throwing people into things, or the way he's then like flying in when he's breaking a pinfall or breaking a submission and stuff like that. But you can tell he's almost like fuck, this takes me back, kind of thing. Like again, the Legion of Doom have lost their kind of mojo a lot, obviously by this point. But like you can tell he's in the moment. You don't get it the same from Orc, kind of thing. We all know what his brain's probably doing at this point, kind of thing. But fucking Animal, is insane. I was thinking, why am I loving Animal so much in 1997?
Well, Gareth, we'll get that WCW 2001 run for you, mate.
I was going to make that exact joke. That's the Mystery Man and the Magnificent Seven. You've got that to come, Gareth. You'll love that. It's great. No, it's not. No.
That's right, isn't it, Matty? That's you won't have heard this one, Gareth. That's of course like February 2001, the 1 month that WCW was better than WWF ever. Like, that's,
and AJ Styles got a lot to answer.
I love you, Michael. I do.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
That's another podcast coming.
Yes. I can't say to you, it ruins Animal's run there because he teams up with Chavo Guerrero, doesn't he? If you can remember that, Michael. I don't know why he teams up with him. Jesus Christ.
I love, but like Chavo's like Pillman for the Heart. He was never allowed to be called a member of the Magnificent Seven. He's he's a friend of the group, but he's not in it.
And when Heidenreich is fucking better than Chavo Guerrero in the list of Animal partners, Michael, that's when it says enough for me.
We were doing I forget what we were doing. I think we were doing a Q&A podcast recently, and somebody was asking us about, what would Bret staying in the Fed look like in 98, 99? And I think we all kind of came to the same conclusion of, well, it still wouldn't work. Like, he was becoming very disconnected from the product, and it's like his matches might have been good, but he'd have to get filtered down the card to move out of the way for Steve Austin. And you can have those debates and that. The real lost Bret is 2002. Because you can just slot him right in the SmackDown 6 and take out Chavo Guerrero, because it was a SmackDown 5 all along, wasn't it? Like it was a SmackDown 5 and Chavo's there. But then
and Eddie, 4 if you believe me, Matty.
Come on, you can go podcast. Don't be slander.
Dropping Bret in with those wrestlers in 2002.
Him and Kane meant to be at 18. That was before had the stroke, and that wasn't it? Like that was on the table. Imagine that. I met in Hitman's Bar in Calgary. Like, there's a little section of it called the Dungeon, where when Bret's in town for a pint, that's where he likes to sit. It's this little and he'll either have the doors closed or he'll have them open.
The lasses there.
And you hear moans that sound like Stu Hart coming from there, but it's something else.
I was going to keep it clean and say, is it Dan Severn down there going, let's fight? You know that?
We need JP here for a Stu Hart impression.
We do. I haven't got the bottle today to do one.
Well, it's funny you mentioned JP, right? Because this is about Bret Hart taking an interest in AI, right? Yeah. So, he's got these doors where, if the doors are open, people can go and talk to him and get the picture taken. If they're shut, Bret just wants time alone, having a pink Hitman cocktail in his own bar. And apparently, right, on good authority, I have this. On good authority, I have this. Bret is has seen AI and has seen the video games, and he wants to sit down with Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio specifically and feed in the match that he believes that them two could have, plan it and work it, but just sort of in written form. Feed it through AI and have video game animators make it, and then that would be the answer to the question of what Bret versus Ray and Bret versus Angle would look like, as completely dictated by the two of them. He's got this idea that he wishes that he could get the people together to make it. It's a bit sort of old man not quite knowing what the tech is and what the tech isn't, but he would want him and the wrestler in question, so him and Kurt, the minds are still the bit that are switched on. It's the everything else that can't do it, and he's got this very small list of wrestlers that he wants to use that technology to do it with.
Maybe he can go back and make his WCW run any good. Maybe he could do that as well. We've done that podcast. Great idea. Bret Hart invented AI.
The wrist tape's the wrong colour.
The music's wrong as well. That's the other problem. And the sunglasses are wrong. It's a lot of things.
Yeah, round sunglasses in it. Don't like them.
Not right.
No.
Well,
sorry, I've just got excited. I've just got excited about the idea of AI for the first time in my life. There.
Well, we're still in peak Bret here in '97. As like I say, a lot of fun interactions there. But again, the meat of the story that they're trying to tell here is Austin coming back, limping all the way back to ringside, gets tagged in immediately, and he throws Bret into the corner. He kind of does like an Irish whip thing. I don't know, Gareth, Matty, if you can help me with how Bret maybe takes this bump into the corner.
Is it sternum first, Gareth? Is that how it goes?
It certainly is. That's where it goes, mate.
There you go.
It's to borrow a line from you, lads. But yeah, we got more Bret and Steve here. And again, it's molten, isn't it? All builds to Austin getting the sharpshooter on Bret, which brings Owen back out. But again, if you could just crystallize these couple of minutes of just seeing Bret and Steve going at it again, it's another match within a match, isn't it? It's fucking golden stuff, Gareth.
They're just made to be opponents, aren't they? Like just the way they work, kind of everything they do, the way they move, the way they hit each other, just the way the placement of everything. Like it's almost like you know, someone put them into AI and went create the two opponents who are just like meant to be, at this time period, are just meant to be opponents. And then like we've talked ad nauseum on Bretro about obviously the role that Bret has then in the rise of Steve sort of thing, and we're not just talking WrestleMania, you know, we're going back earlier than that, and the credibility that he gives him, and then the whole build together. And I think this is just where you talk about, or what would it have been like sort of further down the line if he'd not gone to WCW and stuff like that. And you might have had a cool enough thing, or you might have had Bret go away for 9 months and then come back or something like that when Steve's at the height of his powers and things like that. And that's where I always just think like, oh God, imagine like that, like tops, you know, babyface Steve suddenly have like fucking heel Bret Hart coming in and just reigniting this feud. That's where you get excited, because again, it's one of them can't miss things. It would have just been so good, and an opponent that he would have just needed at that time and things.
He's that kryptonite, and I'm just bucking here, Michael. Like, imagine Bret Hart being in the corporation and going against Steve and stuff like that. I thought just the visual of like what we know in real life of Vince and Bret. Imagine seeing that on TV as well. They would have done them rematches, Gareth, for sure. 100% would have done them, definitely.
Yeah. Pillman's my go-to for that, but that'd be an interesting world to live into, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't like, do you know what? I can't shake this. I don't like Bret in 1998. Like, 1997 is like this wonderful, perfect thing we've all talked about. 1998 is brilliant, but it stinks of cum. Like, Bret Hart just does not belong in the jizz-soaked, sable-heavy fed. It's 1998. It's 1998 fed is spunk and beer. Like, Steve Austin's cracking the cans, and like it's sable, isn't it? I don't think Bret belongs in wrestling in 1998. Like, ECW's not his place. WCW's what actually happens, and it's shit. Like, I think you just have to turn Bret Hart off in 1997 and like look.
Moral Bret, though, moral heel Bret, like kind of
maybe
had some sable days. No, you say they would have
See, I'd go a step further as well, and like a spunk smell in WWE, you think would be perfect for Shawn to turn up in, but actually, you need him out the way as well, don't you? For Steve to kind of take center stage as well. So I do get what you're saying, Michael.
It's just something. Like when you were saying it, you're like, of course that makes perfect sense that he ends up teaming with Vince. They make amends in order to get Austin, but then I'm like, no, I don't like it. It just does not feel right. Bret Hart, he's the first, the last face you see before the very first reveal of the WWF scratch Attitude logo on that advert at the Survivor Series, and the two things are never next to each other, and I don't think they ever should be. Bret Hart's this blue and yellow logo in the corner, not the scratch.
Like Gareth said, he might be the moral Bret Hart. You're saying he could have been like that Christian Dustin Rhodes character there, Michael. He could have invented that one in 1960.
Oh, can you imagine? Like,
it's wild. It's
having
wild.
having to sort of I don't know, like sort of do so. I didn't realize that in order to be a great wrestler, you had to be a porn star, Val Venus, and it's just like, no, thank you, no, thank you.
You sounded like a porn star, then, mate.
Yeah, let's all be glad we didn't live through the Commissioner Hart days, because you know that.
He would have been a better one than Commissioner Michaels, though, Gareth, wouldn't he? He definitely would have.
I'll give him that. He'd have worn the cross better too, as well, and probably would have meant it more than what Sean does to this fucking day. But anyhow, back to the match. Should we go into our closing stretch unless anyone's got anything more before we get to Owen and Austin being singled out here? Like I say, it's Owen that does come back to break up the sharpshooter attempt, and we had Owen and Austin brawling out to the floor. This is where Austin's beating on Owen as various members of the Hart family can't help themselves, but want to get over involved. He rolls Owen back into the ring. He's trying to, isn't he? As like Bruce throws a drink on him, which you can fill in the gaps on this one, Gareth, I assume was the plan. As Austin turns around, very clearly it's Bruce that throws the drink, but instead he goes after Stu, which then causes other Hart family members to jump the rail again. I'm interested in how much of this was really to plan to beat on Austin. It feels like at this point Bret and Jim start getting involved just to kind of ward off the other Hart family members, just to kind of go back to the plan that they've got here. As Austin is back in the ring, he's trying to grab Bret from inside the ring to the outside, but Owen's still in there, who rolls up Austin with the cradle, grabs the tights, and it's 1, 2, and 3, and it's over here with the great memorable finish here. But yeah, can't help but note that there are other Hart family members who are pride of place in this scene that it really feels like they shouldn't be here, Gareth.
Yeah, and it was the first time I put two and two together. As it was Bruce and Wayne, and I was like, "Oh, big Batman fan was he, Stu?" Yeah, they're coming in. This was the bit from the book that I was like laughing my head out of because I thought when I watched it, like you're like, yeah. That doesn't get the pop that I expect that pop to get, and I sort of rewind it 3 times. You know, look at it, and then just apparently Owen was absolutely fuming because like Bruce was supposed to do that spot, but like there was supposed to be no big comeback element kind of thing to like keep going at it. It was like for over drink, and then it's a good like kind of rib on Stu that Steve thought it was Stu, so you're getting Stu involved and knowing he'd get a kick out of it and things, but then like Bruce takes it too far. But Owen was fuming because of how much it like diluted the pop for the pin kind of thing that was essentially like Owen's big moment, you know, going into that match, getting to pin Steve Austin as well. And like Bret's talking about how they're all there, big family party and all that later onwards, or they're all in the bar, but Bruce is just sulking in the corner because Bret and Owen have just like bollocked him for like you know, like getting overly involved in the match and things. So he's just got the proper sulk on. But like it is too much, isn't it? Kind of thing at that point. It does take away from the finish. Like it does affect
it's not the focus, is it? Like it should be.
The pop as well, and like it's the focus in Bruce's mind, biggest star in the building in his head. But just it's a shame because it's weird that it does after this molten atmosphere for the last 35 minutes suddenly. Then it does just kind of feel a bit flat, almost that, and it does. You know, it should mean more as well with Austin getting pinned too.
Bret, I was watching a very recent like talking thing Bret did on one of those like sort of speaking tours that he does, and he was telling a story about this because somebody had asked about that, because it's in Wrestling with Shadows, isn't it, where they're planning the finish, and then Bruce does it in the first fucking 2 minutes rather than at the 20-minute mark or whatever it is, so he blows his own spot anyway. But like this is per Bret, like coming out of his mouth, like he'd basically talked Vince, he'd convinced Vince that Bruce could be the 6th member of the Hearts, like, and he could be the light heavyweight champion. Like he could be the like all the Hearts had belts, right? So like this light heavyweight division that Vince was talking about, Bret is like, well, hang on, let's put our hands together here. Like, can we get Bruce in, maybe? And he can be a light heavyweight guy. He can still fling himself around. And Vince is like, do you know what? Maybe, right? And then in this like melee at the end, like Austin is obviously just like wailing, and he's, it's Austin, isn't it? He's throwing a couple of spuds, and like one or two get Bruce, and because Bruce is so fired up, he hoys and like, when he falls over the guardrail like a tit, one of the reasons is because one of Austin's potatoes has broken Bruce's prescription aviators, right? So like Bruce is like, he's swinging blind and all of that, and he's overexcited. Apparently, he drilled Austin in the kidneys, and like Austin was working hurt, pissing blood, and all this sort of stuff. And Vince was so angry that he just like, right now, fuck your light heavyweight thing. And Bruce lost his own spot as a result. Like Bret had gone to the trouble of working Bruce into like a light heavyweight champion position on WWF telly, and like idiot like blows it for himself as well as blowing to finish this match all in one sequence. He's hurting Austin. Like,
I want to see Bruce Hartley Taka Michinoku now, Michael. You've got that, haven't you?
I want to see Bruce Hart in 2000's WWF. I want to see Commissioner Bruce. That's what I want. I want that reality.
That makes sense. Get there.
But any thoughts on the close, Matty? Michael, anything more from you?
First, Michael said it there. I can just see Wrestling with Shadows. You can hear them talking as they're showing it in slow motion, can't you? That's what my mind goes to. But without jumping ahead, Owen, you can tell he was pissed off because when everyone's celebrating in the ring, the camera cuts to Owen. He's in the corner, like proper gives the daggers to the camera, doesn't he? And it's like, now I know why he's here. But it is good to get Stu involved, though, Gareth, isn't it? It's always good to like see Steve. I would like Steve to have given him a few more laying into him, like a bit more and Stu to retaliate. But I get it that the kids have to jump in. But even if they do it, they do over-egg it, like.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, after seeing the way Tony Gurria and Papa Hassan handled him, Stu would have fucking taken him down, mate. And it might have been the Stone Cold Stu Hart era, mate. We're all on board with.
I've just remembered as well, because you see Helen briefly, and like she obviously gets out the way of all the brawl and stuff. But I'd forgot from the start when like Bret puts the Hitman glasses on her, and Lawler says, "I didn't know those Hitman glasses came in bifocals."
All right, I looked it down. JR hates it though, doesn't he? JR's like, that's a 60s joke or something. He says, doesn't he? It's like, come on, it's funny.
I love that never goes away. That like feud with Jerry and the Hearts kind of thing. Like it's just even there, just one little call back to it, kind of like just so good with that. But I tell you what, then on the outside, like you say about there, like, Austin and the kidneys. I don't know what Bruce has done to Ken Shamrock, because Ken Shamrock's proper fucking playing into him as well. I don't know if Ken Shamrock's just fuming that like Bruce has blown the spot as well, or if Ken's even conscious of it, or if he just thinks he's a guy who's trying to like get over the barricades or something. But Ken gives Bruce 2 digs, and I'm like, fuck me, Bruce is doing well to still be standing there. Like, just go on, Ken.
On the reverse, and we'll include it in wrap up because I think the post match is almost. I was saying about matches, I think it's part of your rating for it because this post match is so important. Like, it's great that the fight keeps going, doesn't it? Like, for all it takes away Bruce getting over involved and stuff, it also adds a bit of chaos to it as well, doesn't it? As things just kind of keep going off the rails and fighting. Like, there's a point you say there about Ken going after Bruce. Bruce gets some good digs in on Hawk in the ring. I don't know if anyone spotted that. Hawk is selling for Bruce. I'm like, what's he doing? Like, what's he thinking here? I guess they're old mates or something like that. But it's this bit, and I've got to go to you too, Matty and Gareth. Got to be catnip to you, as of course the bit that we all remember, and the bit that I remember jumping up and down on my bed when I was 13, watching The Day After, and my mum coming up and shouting at me for getting too animated at this. It's Austin coming back, isn't it? Because of course he does. Of course he comes back on us over the chair. Of course he's going after everyone. It's Jimmy goes after first, isn't it? And then everyone's kind of just getting the licks in on Steve, including Bruce trying to get in there. It's the Austin character to a T. Of course he keep fighting. They managed to get him down. They managed to get the cuffs on him. And Matty, one of the all-time greatest visuals, like the moment that maybe solidified me as Sean's not my guy anymore. It's fucking Steve here in 1997. Like, I was belly laughing again here at 41 years old as Steve's in the handcuffs and he's still flipping them off. It's something about like the way he bends over, isn't it? As he's trying to flip off the crowd, he's trying to flip off the Hearts. He's fucking defiant to the end. Like, what a man, what a character, what a scene. I love all of this in the post-match. It's as important as everything that happens in the match, and the match is fucking amazing too.
But me and Michael have been like waxing lyrical about Steve for good and bad, haven't we, Michael? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you'll know what I mean by this. It's the perfect camera cut he's struggling to get in the ring. Now, if that's not a shoot, what acting? It's like 3 times he's trying to hook because he's that angry. He's that wants to get in there. He's like slipping. He's clawing to get back in. And then when he just attacks Jim, like with the chair, poor Jim gets it, doesn't he? Once again, he's not laying back off them chair shots, even to the back and the torso. He's not letting up. And as you say, Ben, like the first time I become like this is Steve, it wasn't even the WrestleMania 13 match at the time. It was seeing his face on the front of every magazine that got released like 2 or 3 months later. But actually on TV, you're right again here, Ben. You've nailed it. That was the first time as a fan watching it. I was like, that is the guy. That is the man. When he's in them handcuffs, I must have rewound that as an 11-year-old 50 times. Just unbelievable. Like, it's still entrenched in me from then. What a fucking moment, mate. But it just fit that character. As you said, of course he'd come back. He want to reign on this. He's been pinned. He's been made a fool of. He's not going to have that. He's coming back to get revenge. And it's incredible. It is. It's one of the greatest, like, post-match angles that you'll ever see.
JR's call. That call from JR, you know, when Benno on the housekeeping that we did where you mentioned calls that stick in your head. He doesn't give a damn. That one, like that exact intonation. It's like, I'll tell you what, the booking of this with the Owen finish, like considering that they've got to book this match in this building and then get back to America 8 days later, it's pretty perfect, isn't it? Like Owen winning, he still wins with a handful of tights. That victory has got to be a little bit ill-gotten when they get back to America. But on this night, again, I use the football analogy. You do not care if it goes in off your defender's arse if it wins your derby. You don't care if it's Nick Walter-Marday flying through the air to score an own goal for Newcastle. You don't give a shit, do you?
For an example.
Owen, just off the top of my head, Owen pulling the tights is it, isn't it? That's that really. In terms of all the ways you could win this match, there's no honor to it. He's caught Austin napping because he's busy with Bret. But like on this night, Austin's the villain. And then likewise, you flip it. That handcuffs moment is going to make Austin the biggest babyface in the world. But in the context of this show, like what a bastard. Like if you're those fans, like how dare he mock us? We won. Didn't we just win the match? How was he mocking us? How was it? You know, and as well, Matty, to your point about Austin, I know we've kind of like disagreed on the good eras of Steve and the bad eras of Steve, and it's like it leads to debates online about like, how good was Steve Austin and all that. This In Your House set, like the Austin is doing this double bird on in the handcuffs. Did you notice there was like straw hay bales and hats and like little saloon doors and stuff? So on this ramp, you've got Steve Austin and you've got cowboy shit. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, which one of them is better?
And you're definitely trying to wind me up now, Michael.
Which one of them? Nah, it's like
that's what we're getting online. That type of shite. That's what we're getting.
Do you know, like, the Austin Bret point that Gareth was making about the chemistry? It's quite sort of, I don't know, it's quite poetic here. As Owen pins Austin, it brings to an end Austin and Bret. We're done with Austin and Bret forever. And it's almost like, like sort of Austin did need Bret to kickstart his ascension, but now the Fed's ascension is going to happen without Bret. Like Austin's off and away now. He's had his last interaction with Bret Hart, and in the post-match, he's moving into Owen, and then he's moving into authority figures, and he's moving into Shawn, and him and Bret are done. Like Bret can do no more for him, and he's been set up and platformed to do it by himself. As like it's even in this thing, which is all the Hart Foundation's moment. Like Steve's making it his as well, and he can kind of from this point he can do it without the Harts, and it's just I don't know. There's something quite sweet about that.
Off the top of my head, Michael, as well, maybe barring like maybe the flag match there. It's not many times they share the screen together, even in like talking segments or anything. It is. You're right there. It's a proper like bit of a definitive ending for them. It's wild to think that.
The interesting one in line with that I got thinking about today was like how when you like look at the position that they put Owen in this match, and obviously like Owen's the first person to put the sharpshooter on in this match. So like when that happened, I was like, whoa, like they've let Owen do the sharpshooter first, and then obviously Owen's getting the pinfall on Austin, and should have had the big pop moment if not for Bruce there. Obviously they're then working into SummerSlam, and you just think like I wonder kind of thing if like Owen didn't nearly kill the Golden Goose at SummerSlam kind of thing. Like what was Owen's trick? Was there almost going to be this kind of Bret's helped Steve get the leg up, and is now Steve going to give Owen the leg up sort of into that space as well, because of how much they give Owen here, like even the injury coming from the back kind of thing, supposed to, getting, it's all designed, this whole thing's just designed around putting Owen Hart in the most positive light possible, isn't it, sort of thing, and a bit of the Bret sort of pop and shine and things like that, just sort of passing over to his brother here, and that feels like another kind of like what if to me, where I'm looking at that and been like, yeah, shit, what if SummerSlam have ended like it happened? What how much favor did Owen Hart lose, kind of, through that? Obviously not, we know, like Steve Austin, but how much kind of did the company just go, you know what, kind of, let's put the kibosh on this, because everything here points towards something totally different.
But like we said earlier,
sorry, mate.
No, it's about 97. Like we've all said in different forms and variations. And Steve's the man, like we've all said. It's still them having structure as a company to like, all right, he's the man, but we'll give him the IC title against Owen.
Yes,
We see how he carries that. Then we'll have him, obviously, the way he drops it is like, you're going to protect Steve, I'll stick up for him there. You're not going to have Steve lose it when you're on the ascension so that's a rare one where I go, all right, I can accept that. You're not going to have him lose before he goes on to be the crown and like face and head or whatever of the company. It's perfect way to build the man you want to build as well. That's undeniable.
Yeah, because we've still got a long way to go to WrestleMania next year. There's a lot of time to fill, isn't it? That's why he's doing the stuff with Shawn, like the tag team partners who can't get along, and that's where the Owen program is so useful. But you're right, Owen could have massively benefit too.
Like all these hypotheticals, Bret in '98, Bulldog and Jim in WCW. The actual, regrettably, one that probably works is just Owen going to WCW and padding out that mid card. A guy that doesn't go with the, like Bret goes with all this expectation of being a top star because he's the hottest guy in the business in November '97, and it fails badly. Owen's not going to go to WCW and worry about having political battles with Hulk Hogan. He's just going to shore up the mid card and help get some guys over.
In the Eddie, Benoit,
that's some matches with Benoit and Jericho.
He's going to get all them to the next level. He's not going to be shit like Bulldog and Anvil. He's just going to like get on, have 3 or 4 like honest years, good work, and then if WCW goes out of business, probably like take a nice sweetheart deal to come back and do whatever as Owen again in the Fed. Like it's the smoothest transition of all of the Harts would have been Owen slotting into that WCW mid.
Could have met Bret in the middle, couldn't he? Because as Bret kind of his star lowers in WCW and he becomes like a US title guy, which is fucking ridiculous. Like Owen, you could imagine getting up to that point, couldn't you? And them meeting there, and there could have been matches. You could have teamed them. They could have been a tag team in WCW. Once they ran out of they shouldn't have ever ran out of things to do with Bret, but once they did, that could have been something too. Like it could have been, totally different kettle of fish there. But yeah, and with Gareth, I think I've literally only remembered, you'll love this, Matty, while we've been talking about this post-match, that I've actually reviewed the show before on Grapple with Joe, JP and Martin with no one else on the show, which is mad. Yeah, so it just popped into my head that I did it. Well, there we go.
We should look at our archives now, mate. We should actually
need to make a big note. My memories, it happens when you do so many podcasts with
look at these dispensable Survivor Series partners that you just shift them to one side, get 3 new lads in to come and talk, talk about the same.
Michael's the Martin now. I think Gareth's the Joe, and I think Matty's the JP. I'm not sure how that analogy works, but yeah, there you go. Different Survivor Series partners. But the way we close that podcast that I've kind of remembered is like, it is this end scene that you get. Like the post match is great. It's a little bit imperfect because, as you say, Owen's clearly fuming, and like I know today, I was like waiting for that perfect moment where all the Harts are in the ring and like you get like to camera, but it's almost like Bret's still shuffling people into the ring. You see young Teddy Hart, I don't know if you spotted him, Matty, getting in there, like his face is on camera. I believe Natty Neidhart and TJ are in there somewhere. I didn't spot them on this rewatch, but like it's that last, as Bret always talks about, that all of the Harts are here together in happy circumstances, and like it's all of the like the side family members as well as the patriarch and the matriarch, as they say in commentary as well. Like it's imperfect because you don't get that perfect shot, but it still gave me that lump in my throat that Bret talks about, like knowing it's like the last big one.
It's Owens ushering Martha and the kids out the ring, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like as the pay-per-view's going off the air, like there's the supposed big fight, and he's just like, Howie, let's get like it. Yeah. And like there's probably an element where like, because Martha was never like a mark for the wrestling, was she? So she's probably not that fussed. But yeah, Owens, like he's not got much of a poker face with how pissed off he is about how it's all played out at the end. And
great photo with the flag and just
they got that.
Get that out of it, but it's that's the.
Do you notice who was first to lift the flag though?
Bruce.
Yeah.
Of course.
I was going to say, as the complete opposite, and in all the chaos, and as Benno said, the moving parts, I didn't really see Keith. Was he there? He's the opposite of Bruce, isn't he? I didn't really see him. Did anyone make him out?
I don't remember seeing him.
Yeah.
Don't know.
I saw Smith.
Yeah, so Keith's like always, even when I was a kid watching Survivor Series 93, Gareth, I was always a fan of Keith, the fireman.
Yeah,
the
fireman.
Was he? Back then, yeah, he was sound. Yeah.
Here comes the school teacher.
Bruce would hate that as well. He'd hate that.
I saw Blade, Matty. Do you reckon Beans was in there?
I
follow Blade on Instagram.
Of all time, though, Beans.
Bret looked like he was in a really good mood, so I'm presuming Julie wasn't in there.
Didn't spot him.
Was it in Calgary that day, Michael, was it? Look nicey outside. I know, actually, did they hide the sun? It probably was.
Well, that was one of the other things that I loved from Bret's book as well. He was saying how he got in the ring and he saw some kid and he went, "Who are you?" And the kid says, "I just told them I was a Hart." And Bret said, "Wave at the crowd and enjoy yourself, kid."
Oh, that's amazing.
So Michael's about to throw off the fucking ring, Gareth, with
I was literally going to write that down, Matty, as a question. If you were there, would you have just bluffed it and tried to get in? I'm so glad somebody did.
Of course. You just grab a Canadian flag, there would be loads flying on. Just get in there.
It'd have been worse than Bruce.
Yeah.
Throwing digs in.
Digging on Austin.
I wouldn't try that on with Ken.
You'd have stole for Steve. You wouldn't be stunning and Steve. You'd be taking the stun.
Oh, mate, I'd be there. Be all over him.
But there we go. We said, Michael, this is and obviously as we close out season 1 of Benno Hamflett, which is the 2 hour In Your Houses. This is actually the last 2 hour In Your House, which of course it took us 3 hours to talk about, but I'm glad it did. It was a great 3 hours, and has the guest to say one of our best shows. But is this one of WWF's best shows? It's a fucking incredible match. I don't know how you could star rate it as like a match. Like it's the best version of any. I can't think of any other 10-man tag or even 8-man tag that's as good as this. But as far as the shows we've done so far, is it the best we've done?
It probably is. Like it's like on the match, right? Because of grapple stock and you rate matches, and I tend not to really rate matches, and if I did, they wouldn't have any value anyway because I've got shit taste. But like, what is wrestling if this match isn't 5 stars? What is pro wrestling if this isn't 5 stars, really? Like, I understand that, like, you can break it down in different ways, but there's so much of every kind of what makes a great match in this that even the imperfections make it perfect, Like, if a brawl is supposed to feel real, well, then doesn't the chaos make it more realistic? If the work is supposed to, like, energize a crowd, then the constant shaking hard camera is evidence of it constantly playing out. Like, if you're looking for good selling, you'll find it in the match. Like, I don't know, like, for all of it, I know that there's supposed to be a rule on what makes a perfect singles match a fight, and maybe 10-mans and 3-ways and 4-ways have different rule sets in that. But I don't know, like, if you're watching pro wrestling and not getting your kicks out of this, you've probably picked the wrong hobby. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect, even when it's flawed, and that's the best wrestling, really. Because it's supposed to perfect flaws like make it feel real, because that's life, isn't it? Like, they're like, life is perfect and it's flawed, and that's more realistic than 2 perfect technical wrestlers making everything inch perfect down to the last bit of execution, even to the point where it's like, yeah, but why would he be in that position for that? Why would he take an Irish whip because you wouldn't bounce back off the ropes? You get into that realm, don't you? This goes beyond that. I think this is like, as a show, I actually think this is the least I've ever enjoyed. It's the most I've ever enjoyed talking about it, but I don't think some of the elements of it are aging as well as I used to remember it. But as a match, this is still preserved in amber.
But just to add on to that, and we're fed lifers, as everyone knows, Michael, and I even piggybacking off what Benno said earlier on, it's not just the match, it is the entrances are a big part of it. The post-match is a big part of it. It's everything, like you say, it's the whole thing of why pro wrestling is the greatest form of entertainment, or greatest form of anything that's ever existed, and I'll never ever budge from that. This is why it is. The whole encapsulation of that 45 to 50 minutes is as good as you can get overall, with the characters added in, everything you can say is just unbelievable stuff. But as a show, I will say it's a variety show, isn't it? And that's, once again, I think what wrestling should be. You've got like your brawling type match at the start, you've got your light heavyweights, you've got your super heavyweights, then you've got your big 10-man at the end. So I always say it's one of the better in your house. You'll have to proper sit down and think about it. But
it is. No, it is. Yeah, it
still is. Overall.
There's no misses, is there? Yeah, that's also because there's only 4 matches.
Yeah, as well. Yeah. There's no, like, they're not filling time or not, and it flows perfect as well. There's no dead bits in between the matches and such. With that brawl and stuff with Triple H and Mankind, that feeds in as well. So, yeah, I love it. Great show.
And I think as well, like the In Your Houses, because they're 2-hour shows and people know that they're going for a slightly reduced version of a pay-per-view, it relies on the matches or the stars or the promos to get the fans up. The fans here have come to be up. They've come to have the great time. They haven't just bought the ticket, they've completely bought in. So they're going to contribute to making this show great. And not in that way that you get now, where like crowds are a lot more performative, which I think, by the way, is our country's fault. But like, I think like sort of not with like sort of a British AEW crowd or WWE's Clash in Paris crowd, just for a couple of examples off the top of my head. This isn't performative. This is fans that are they can't believe that they're lucky enough to be in the Saddle Dome. That beloved appreciation for what they're watching and getting the privilege to be a part of it. That's what I feel from this specific reaction.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for you, Gareth?
Yeah, I mean it's a real good show. Like, I'd a lot of fun going back and rewatching it. Like the main event. I mean, Michael said it there. Like it's. I mean, what other than Bruce Hart not fucking destroying the pop on the finish kind of thing, like what more could you possibly want, like, out of a wrestling match? And like, I always like gauge a match on, like, could I watch it again tomorrow and the next day kind of thing, or like, is it a match that was just a moment in time and it was brilliant kind of thing? But you're like, well, it's not 5 stars if you wouldn't want to go and watch it again tomorrow, sort of thing. I could watch that every day of my life and then probably get something different out of it and enjoy it every time, kind of thing, because there's just so much to it. I mean, the show as a whole, let's say it was good, I enjoyed it, but I think that was probably the second time I've watched it in its entirety in my life. As I said up front, I don't think I need to ever watch a second of it before that main event ever as well, which I think, from the same token, I wouldn't put it up there with, like, all-timer shows or anything like that, where I think it's sort of fabled to be. But it's all about the main event at the end of the day, isn't it, kind of thing? And, the crowd, just hearing crowds like that again, you talk, like previously, about time periods setting a benchmark and things, and when wrestling's really good and it's setting a benchmark, that's what you fucking, you can have loud crowds, you can have crowds playing along to music or hand gestures and things like that are loud and things like that, but that is rabid, that is real, that is emotion, that is everything about what the best professional wrestling is, and you've just got it, like, captured in half an hour there, really. So yeah, fucking what a great match, and I'm glad we did it on your show, not ours, because I would have took some doing that, writing down every fucking single move that happened in that match there and having to talk through it all. So yeah, I'm pleased you had to do it, not me.
Well, there we go. Well, yeah, speaking of your show, obviously that's a good way to take us out of here. For me, obviously, over here, Michael, we're going to have a housekeeping to close out season 1 as well. Maybe we could nail that down. What is our maybe top 2 or 3 or even 5? Maybe a 5 to 1. We could maybe coin that term. I don't know. As far as great in your houses, I think this is in the top 3. But what will be at the top of that top 3? I'll have to give some thought before the next housekeeping. But yeah, for you two, obviously, been great having you on. I'll speak to you tomorrow, I suppose. I don't know. See you on Friday. To close it out. Plugs. Do you want to tell people where they can find? Obviously, again, we always say it, but like genuinely mean it. Like, I think we are like Benno and Hamflett and Bretro. Like, it's cut of the same cloth, isn't it? The two shows. If anybody likes what we're doing here, has gotten this far, with this show, with you two on, if they don't already subscribe to Grapple through me, they should certainly subscribe for you two guys for Bretro as well. I can't imagine anyone who likes this show not loving your show. So yeah, don't know if you want to do the plugs for the upcoming Bretros and what's in the back catalogue as well.
You're the Alex Abrahanters, aren't you, Matty? You're the hype man.
I'm the worst show man in the world, Gareth, to be fair. Oh, no, thanks for the kind words, and obviously, thank you for inviting myself on and Gareth, obviously, for this.
Yeah, it was Michael. It wasn't me. I didn't want you, but
we were less harsh, mate. We were less harsh, but
it was my
idea. With the Bretro, it's obviously the monthly look at everything Bret Hart, isn't it, Gareth? We do pick two matches every month, one hidden gem and one well-known match, and you dissect it down as only you can, Gareth, as always. I do a bit of backstory and a bit of what's going on TV and in real life, and we jump all over the place, don't we, all through the years, all through the history of Bret, so it's I do enjoy it, and we've got a lot coming up this year, haven't we, Gareth? We're about 20 episodes in now, mate, so we've got hundreds and hundreds. I know, can't believe hundreds of more matches to get through before we hang the pink headphones up, haven't we, mate?
That's right. We'll be doing 3-minute squashes on fucking superstars, mate. In 10 years' time, still talking about the great man because, there's no better than that. And I think it's just good, just picking out just some of them hidden gems and just looking at sometimes where we may be watching him do something in 1985, and then the main match that we watch later is from 1995, and then you see small bits or small details and things like that have been reused and reworked, and seeing things like that. So yeah, just love that. So if anyone's a fan of that type of thing, give us a listen.
Definitely great stuff. So it's Bretro wherever podcasts are sold, and you have to subscribe to the Grapple YouTube channel. We could always do with a few extra numbers there as well. But Michael, anything more from us on the set?
I don't think so. I think other than if we'd have been unprofessional like the Hitman himself and cut these two off mid-promo, like when he was fighting with Shawn in '97, I think it's been nice, isn't it, to sort of put those grievances to rest for the time being across the bow. So it's good. I can only.
They'll be aired one day.
Don't doubt it. It's going to be the next time Jey Uso gets a push. I'll be there for it. No, I'll throw in plugs for What Culture for anybody that doesn't listen. We do the weekly sort of reviews of Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, pay-per-views, premium live events, and all of that. But I'll echo all of your takes as well. I'm grateful to be sort of sideways welcomed into some of the grapple bits that you guys do. Your Discord's brilliant, your community's class, your podcasts are fantastic, your Patreon's the easiest value for money out there in the wrestling media game as well. So yeah, it's I'm just as grateful to be part of this as anything else. It's been quality to do this.
Brilliant. Love that, mate. Best in the business, Michael. The man I aspire to be. I always say that, mate. Always say that. And that's why I said all that just now. So thanks.
Always coming. I feel like that way about you, Gareth, as well. Looking forward to Punktro starting in 2027. It's going to be a great show. But yeah, as Michael said, patreon.com/grapple, where you can get Bretro and all of our other shows coming across January and February as well. But yeah, outside of that, we'll go around the elders. Follow me on Twitter @BensonRichardE.
I haven't got one anymore. You just
it's not listed anymore. Follow Michael on Discord @Michael Hamflett.
That's it. Yeah, get me on the Grapple Discord.
Don't follow me.
Yeah, I'm thinking about ditching to our Discord's the one we need to hard sell, Benno. Yeah. That's where the real stuff's at, I think, these days.
There you go. Follow Matty and Gareth over on our Discord as well as Twitter as well. But yeah, anything else to say, Michael?
Not unless anybody else has, and I guess until next time, thanks for the house.